All right, everybody, here we go. Today is Thursday, April 30th, 2026. My name is Robb Carter. Welcome to the future, #1 podcast in America. Good morning, Isaiah. How are you?
Good morning. Fantastic. My daughter was cheering me on. Excited to watch the show this morning. So
I like that the youth are getting acquainted with the show.
I know.
We got a lot to get to today. We have Ann Vandersteel
yeah.
coming on at 10 a.m. I'm a big fan of Ann. We've been talking back and forth. We have a lot of the same opinions on things. One of the issues that she got involved with was MMTLP. This has turned into kind of an online social media craze. And, I just want her to give her opinion on it. She is backing Paul Renner. We've had him on the show a couple times now. He was the former Florida Speaker of the House, and now he is running for governor. She is supporting Paul Renner, and I like him. He's been on the show twice, and he answers the question. He's against AI data centers, which is another thing I want to bring up before we get to the rest of the show. There's a big push in Missouri for AI data centers, and this push is coming from the Republican Party. And it appears throughout the country, the Republican Party is jamming these AI data centers down the people's throat. And I'm watching the rhetoric go down. And in Missouri, the former Speaker of the House, who I used to work with, a guy named Tim Jones, and Tim has always been cordial to me. I don't have any problem with Tim Jones, but they do a radio show in St. Louis. I used to work at the station. I think they have an offshoot that they do where a lot of Republicans come in and bounce ideas and bounce policy around and try to inform Republican voters of their intentions. And he was putting out stuff, and I think people take it personally. I don't mean to for Tim. I just disagree with him completely on their stance on the AI data centers. And I believe that there's money to be made within the Republican Party through many different methods. I mean, there's a lot of ways people can make money off of situations like this. But we're talking about a $500 billion investment, and the Republican Party is pushing hard for AI data centers. And what I see coming out of Missouri politics, especially with Speaker Tim Jones, Americans for Prosperity, what they're trying to do is tag it to the Democrats, which, again, I continue to say, what's different about our show is I was in the marketing world for a long time as an observer. It's not like I'm a master marketer. You were in it, Isaiah, as well. But I did work for Skechers Shoe Company for 3 years and was associated with them pretty much throughout my entire career in the shoe business. And it was at a high level. I got to see how it was done. And they're brilliant people. They used to say we're a marketing company that sells shoes. And very simplistic marketing strategies started to make sense to me. And marketing strategies aren't much different than political strategies. It is a way to convince people of something. It's a way to link an idea or a thought process to a product. And I think that this is what the Missouri Republican Party is trying to do. They're trying to link the idea that if you disagree with AI data centers, that you are in bed with the crazy left-wing liberals, as they put it, right? This is how they're trying to describe this to everybody. And I completely disagree. So this morning, this woman named Camellia, she's been on the show with me before. She's a spokesperson for Americans for Prosperity. She put something out basically saying the same thing. Her and Tim Jones were in this thread on X. And, if anybody knows Tim, that hears the show, I would like to have a public conversation with these people. If you're trying to do the right thing, I'm not going to be pounding on my desk and screaming. It's not a setup. It's not any of those things. If you truly believe in your heart that AI data centers are good for the people of Missouri, then let's have that discussion publicly. Let's find out what the good is, what the bad is. Let's have it. Let's people listen to it. Let's have a real public debate. If you are somebody who believes in free speech, if you're somebody who believes that you learn more when people communicate with one another versus using social media to give one side of the story, then the other person responds, how about a public debate where people can feel the energy in the room and we can find out whether people really want AI data centers or not? And if they don't, it is my opinion, and I think you agree with me, Isaiah, not everybody does, but it is my opinion that you have to go with the will of the people. There seems to be a common theory going on within the Republican Party that the insiders know more than the people.
Yeah.
So if they know more than the people, they should be ready to rock and roll for a public debate, right? They're going to show us how smart they are and how dumb we are, and then we can all determine whether they have more information. If they do, they should want to share it publicly, right?
Yeah.
That's where I'm coming from, and I would like to see that happen. So I formally asked Tim Jones, former Speaker of the House, and I would call Tim a friend. I mean, I worked with him. He's always been cordial to me. I disagree with him on politics many different ways, but I don't think he's a mean-spirited person. I don't think he's a bad person. I would like to have that conversation out in public. We can do it on their forums, right? It doesn't have to be mine. I'm not looking for clicks or this and that and the other. It would be a public debate. People's Lobby Missouri can put it on. Any of your groups can put it on. Jeff, I think they have something called Jeffco Patriot Radio, if I'm not mistaken. You guys can put it on. I just want to have the conversation so that everybody can see it. We'll live stream it, not like you guys do in the Senate because you guys don't want to live stream the Senate, but maybe if we don't do it in the Senate, then the people of Missouri can actually see what we're discussing and they can make good decisions. Don't you want, I mean, former Speaker of the House, he has his own radio show from 4 to 6 on News Talk Radio. Don't you want people to be informed? Don't you want to explain, if it's such a great deal for the people of Missouri, you should come out, you should have a public debate. Doesn't even have to be me. If you're like, Rob, no, I don't want to debate you. I'll get people on the other side that will debate you on the conversation. Maybe we'll have a panel. Maybe you guys can speak and we can ask questions from the crowd, then I speak or somebody else speaks and we can get questions from the crowd. We need more public conversation. If you're in the game for the right reasons, that is something you should demand that we do, not run away from it. That's my...
Let me ask you, Rob, when you lived in Missouri here, and even in Florida, has your representative ever reached out to you and asked you your opinion on an issue that they're voting for?
No, that's my point.
Yeah, exactly.
That's my point exactly. The money came in, the processes were put in place, the construction began, the NDAs were signed, and then when the people got wind of it, and they said, wait a minute, let's just slow it all down here. We talked about it yesterday. 702 FISA warrants, which Donald Trump was against. He said that was one of the reasons that Russian collusion was able to mushroom, was because his campaign was being spied on with 702 FISA warrants. He was against them. Now he's for them. The number one priority, according to Donald Trump, because you got to remember on January 21st, the very first thing that he did as president in his second term was to trot out Sam Altman and Larry Ellison and promote Stargate, a $500 billion investment into AI data centers. So now we're talking about mass surveillance. 702 FISA warrants is spying on American citizens. You have kill switches in our cars. At some point, people are going, wait a minute, just pump the brakes just for a minute. We're not saying you have nefarious intent. I think the people running the show have a nefarious intent, but maybe the people pitching it don't have nefarious intent. But the people of this country want to have a conversation with you. You know, the Alex Jones of the world, the Tucker Carlsons of the world, the Candace Owens of the world, the Nick Fuentes of the world, incredibly talented people with big platforms. And I dig it. I'm fine. I pay attention to them almost every day, what they have to say. But we need conversation in a public forum. I think that they all work within their own little groups, right? Like when Tucker Carlson comes out, he'll go to a conference for Turning Point USA. Fine, a lot of viewers, but let's have it in a little smaller forum with local hometown people. We'll live stream it. We'll put it out onto social media, and then let people get into the conversation. Where they understand what is actually happening. And I just think that that is where our country needs to get to. We need to organize ourselves. That's why I always say with peopleslobbymo.com. And again, if you want to donate to peopleslobbymo.com, we'd appreciate it. All it does is expand the message. That's all we're using the money for, to provide infrastructure. I don't take a salary. Do I take a salary? No, I don't take a salary. Okay. A lot of people take salaries. I'm not taking a salary. I'm using that money to build an infrastructure, to expand the operation, to pay other people, but not myself, to expand the operation through public debate, which I would call a pressure campaign, because if you can't answer the questions or you hide from the debate, the pressure begins to build. More and more people will say, Rob keeps calling these people out for a debate. Why don't they want to have one? What did Rob do? Right? Just have the debate, have the conversation. That is called pressure. Because if you don't want to have the debate, then the pressure begins to mount, because people watching you run from a debate will assume that you have something to hide. Does that make sense, Isaiah?
Yep. Makes sense to me.
That's all we're doing. And Vandersteel at 10 o'clock, we're going to talk about Paul Renner, MMTLP. I might ask her some questions off the menu. I think Ann's up for the debate. Not even a debate with me, but a conversation, because we're basically on the same page. I mean, I don't have any opinions that differ from her. We're kind of on the same page with the way we see the world. Then at 11 o'clock, if you are into Missouri politics, you know, two of my favorite people following Missouri politics, Amy Castro and Mike Compton, act4mo.org, act4mo.org. And again, they need the money as well. These are the people that go down to Jefferson City. They watch the proceedings take place, and then they report back on what they see. And they're aligned with Shield Maidens of Missouri, and that is Lisa Panett and Stacey Shore in Missouri. I think everybody knows who they are if you're in Republican circles. And they go down there and they read the language of the bill. And then they do a podcast and they talk about the language within the bill. And I began to notice that the way bills were being sold weren't exactly what was happening. So the Republican Party or the Democrat Party, didn't matter, would come out and sell bills and pitch them and sell them. And then the language in the bill allowed for a lot of wiggle room, if you understand what I'm saying. And they clear that up. I just think people should be more informed as to what's going on in the world. We're at a time now where game time is over. Game time is over. We got to start paying attention to our politics. We have to pay attention to our country. We have to get involved in our country. We have to communicate. We have to organize, and we have to take control of our government, or else the government, as you can see with AI data centers, kill switches on our vehicles, 702 FISA warrants, the erosion of states' rights. They're getting ready to consolidate power, and you can determine whether that's a good or a bad thing. I think it's awful. I think it goes completely against the Constitution, and I think we'll pay a heavy price if we don't get involved in our government like today. I don't think there's much time to waste. Where do we want to start? I got a couple things. Well, actually, before we get into the show, just a couple other things that I want to talk about. I have somebody coming over right now to drop over CDs. We asked for music for our show because
you have compact disc.
Yeah, you can't CDs to listen to. You can't play copyrighted music on the show, and I like music. I think music sets the tone. I'm very interested in music. So one of the young men that played baseball for me, his name was Ian Miller, and Ian Miller was this big left-handed pitcher, big strong kid. I think he ended up playing semi-pro baseball, and right around 13, we parted ways from our team, and I think he was always a little bit upset about that because he was like one of my children. I loved Ian, and I just knew that my team, he was very talented and needed an opportunity to play more than he was going to be able to play on my team at the time. Does that make sense? He just he needed the opportunity. And sometimes, and I had another kid named Nick Jacobs that did the same thing. I loved the kid. I loved his family, and I had to part ways with him at a certain point because I thought that they needed more playing time than they were going to get on my team. Yeah. Ian's one of those kids, and I always stayed close with him. I've always stayed close with his mother. He ended up becoming a really stud ball player, played a little semi-pro baseball. His mother, I did the background of the story, how things tie together. His mother sent me a song, and I love it. And we're going to play it a little bit later on in the show. Her name is Teresa Miller. She's a songwriter in Nashville, and she sent me this song, and it's called America, She Cries, and I just happened to dig it. So I said, can I use it? She said, absolutely, I'd be honored, kind of thing. So we'll play that just a little bit later on in the show to see if everybody likes the music. If they, we're gonna find out whether people like it or not.
Yeah.
If people like the music, we'll find a way to get it into maybe pre-roll, post-roll, those kind of things. We also have a video I put together about my buddy Jeff Wilson produced it. It's about 9.5 minutes long. He's a video editor, and it's a timeline of events from Donald Trump saying he was running for president in 2016 all the way up until the shooting at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. And it shows you what I would say it shows you is the theater of our world. It's going to show you the theater of our world. Most people don't believe me. Even when they say they understand it, they don't really believe that it's that way. That's why they want to go out and vote. Go out and vote. I think everybody should go out and vote. But the idea that voting isn't being manipulated in this country, to me, seems almost absurd. The way these people fight against legitimate elections should be all you need to know to figure out that elections are not on the up and up in this free country that many people have died for, right? We have got to get our elections under control. It's just absurd. They're fighting the SAVE Act. The SAVE Act just says you have to show identification and be an American citizen to vote in the elections. And they still, with the Republican majority, they can't get that passed.
Yeah.
Isaiah, you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, it's so self-evident that they're trying to manipulate elections that it just gets to be crazy. And there's another organization in Missouri called the Freedom Principle and the 82 Alliance. And they responded to a back and forth that I was having privately on my, on a friend of, it was Jake Jackson's on his Facebook page. They were insinuating that I was, they were saying that I was insinuating that people shouldn't go out and vote. And they said, we got to do it just like we did last time, make it too big to rig. And I would just say to Byron Keelan, is the guy who runs the operation there. I would say to Byron, listen, we're in America, my friend. We don't have to vote too big to rig. We have to clean up our elections. That's something you should be fighting for on the daily. You should be outward. You should be challenging the people within the Republican Party. In my view, that's just my view. And I like you. I think you're trying to do the right thing. I like everybody involved in your organization. I know they don't like me as much, but I think you're trying to do the right thing. We don't have elections that need to be too big to rig. That's absurd. And you have to know that that's absurd. We need legitimate elections in this country and in this state. And everybody that's in the grassroots movement in the state of Missouri, the state of Florida, the state of Iowa, the state of Nebraska, all of these grassroots operations, that should be your number one agenda item, is to make sure that we can control our destiny in this country. Rant over. Okay. So we've got that pre-roll we're going to play a little bit later on. We've got the music that I want people to determine whether they like it or not, because I'd like to play this song at the beginning of our show. And then finally, we're going to start answering questions. I have not really paid attention to the chats as much as I'd like to. Isaiah puts them up on the screen so people can see what you're saying. But what I want to do is begin conversations where you can challenge me. You can listen and go, I listened to your show, Rob, but I disagree with you on X, Y, and Z. Here's what I'd like to ask you, and push back on me. We'll answer your questions toward the end of the show, maybe around 11:30 Central Time, and we'll just go until the questions are exhausted. And I'll answer the question. If I don't know the answer, I'll tell you. We can begin a debate. You can email me. The idea is to get to the bottom and create solutions for our country. It is time to stop playing games, in my opinion. It is time to start answering questions. It is time to get things done. It's time to organize. As Jeffrey Wilson used to say to me, the truth is severely underfunded. And I would say that the response to the show has been overwhelmingly positive. I get choked up, so I don't want to talk about it too much. But the advertisers that are coming along, see, I told you I get choked up. The advertisers are coming along. We've added 4 advertisers. I'm now trying to figure out how I get all the advertisements in. When I left the radio station, that was the first thing I thought about was, how am I going to put this on? How can I pay for this? How can we pay our house payment? How can we survive unless my advertisers come? And I didn't want to beg, Isaiah. I don't like begging for money. I don't even like saying donate for Act 4 Missouri and People's Lobby Missouri, because I just don't like asking for money. But if you want things done, if you want a champion for your ideas, if you want somebody who won't belittle you if you have a different opinion than I do, if you want people to go to Washington, D.C. and ask the right questions at the right time to the right people, we're willing to do it. We just need, on the peopleslobbymo.com side, that is really just to fund what we're trying to get accomplished. There's no money. We're not trying to make a living off of that side of the fence. We're trying to make a living on the Robb Carter Show. That's it. That's what we're trying to make a living on. We're trying to get advertisers. If we can make money off the social media platforms, which I don't even know if that's possible anymore, the way they've got it structured, but if we can, we'll do it. We want donations. We want advertisers. This is how Isaiah and I can make a living, so that we don't have to stop abruptly, because you don't have the money, you can't go. The engine is, you're out of gas, which is $4.19, by the way, in the state of Florida.
I think $3.79 the other day here.
It's $4.19. My wife and I went down to see a guy named Jim Gale yesterday. Jim Gale, just oddly enough, it's crazy how these things work out. Jim Gale has a 50-acre farm that is absolutely spectacular. He's got a big, beautiful home on it, and he has a business that shows people how to grow food in their backyard. So he puts diagrams together for you, and they put you through the process of building your own food farm in your backyard, because he's going to run for president. He announced yesterday. As I'm going down, I've only been down to his farm twice. I happened to be going down yesterday, and he makes a public statement that he's running for president in 2028. So he's already thrown his hat into the ring. Wow. He's got a lot of money, and people around him have a lot of money. So I don't know what the chances are of winning, because I don't think he's winning.
What do you have to do to get on the ballot?
We were talking about that yesterday. He said, I'll get on the ballot. We didn't really get into the details of how it works, but he wants to make a statement. He said, we got to get rid of this corporate world that we live in. It's no good. It's killing our health. It's killing our unity as a country. It's killing our bodies. It's killing our minds. It's killing everything. And as more and more people start to become aware of it, he said, maybe we can capitalize on a presidential run to inform people of how to live their lives and not be so dependent on the state. He's in also a big situation down here in Florida. It's kind of news down here. He's made a public statement. He's not paying property taxes. He said, I'm not paying them. And, they've already had some private equity or some bank come in and because when you don't pay taxes, they can basically come steal your place from you, right? They pay the taxes, then they have the rights to your property. And he's got 2 beautiful homes on it. He's got several Airbnbs. He brings people in to show them what he's got going on. And it'll be very interesting to see how that plays out, because he has no intention on leaving that land. He said, I don't use their water. I don't use their electricity. Everything is generators. I have my own wells. It's my property. I bought it. It's mine. Yeah. I shouldn't have to pay you for property that I own, which is something I think the Republican Party.
That's a problem here in Missouri too, with the income tax thing, is people are saying, well, why would we do that? Well, let's focus on personal property tax first.
And property tax in general. I don't think you should. I don't think you should pay tax on things that you own.
Yeah.
Right. Because at that point, you don't own it. You're basically saying, I am renting it from you. And if I don't pay you, you can take it from me. It's very similar to a mafia. Oh, yeah. That kind of tax is very similar to a mafia, right? You go into the local convenience store and you shake them down. You say, listen, If you don't want your windows knocked out, and you don't want your customers being bothered, and you don't want us knocking over your dumpsters here in the back and making it very difficult for you to do business, then give us 15% and we'll leave you alone. Well, that's kind of what the government does. Pay us and we'll leave you alone. And if you don't pay us, then what we're going to do is we're just going to take your stuff. And we've been conditioned to accept it. And it's not an acceptable position, in my point of view. So where do we want to start first? Here's what I got on the agenda.
Share.
Go ahead, Isaiah.
Like and share the stream. It's important that we get everyone to like the stream early on in the show as we're starting, and start sharing it, because that's how the algorithms on social media are looking. Is once we're starting the video, if people are sharing it and liking it, then it's gonna start showing it to more people, because it's saying, oh, these people started this video, and immediately people are starting to share it, like it. And that's how we get the word out there. That's how they start showing our video to more people on YouTube, on Rumble, on X, and even on Facebook. Facebook's a little crazier, but that's the best way you can support us, is by spreading the word. And then also on Rumble, if you want to, you can subscribe actually to our channel, and you can get ad-free viewing on Rumble. And so that's one way that you can support the show, is by subscribing on Rumble. There's also something called Rumble Rants on there, where you can just donate some money, and we'll see your chat pop up here on Rumble. So many opportunities to support us through the platforms, and to just get the word out there. You don't have to monetarily support us. You can just support us by sharing the stream as well. And so that's super important as we grow the show, to make sure that everyone's liking and sharing the stream.
And can I kind of just highlight some differences? And this is why I think it's hard for me to ask for money, because you always feel like a beggar, right? And people think that now that you start asking for money, they think you're doing it for nefarious reasons. And I understand it. I do. I get it. I kind of feel that way towards certain people, right? Mm-hmm. All I can tell you is there'll be MEC filings. You can see where we put the money, right? So that it's very transparent. You have to be. It's a 501c4, peopleslobbymo.com is. You'll see where we spend the money. We spend it on events where we bring politicians in to ask them questions. We bring guests in to talk about AI data centers. We put on events so that we have public conversation about what's going on. We live stream it and you can see it, right? But the money's going to marketing. So we're very transparent on what we're using the money for. And if I could draw a contrast, if you look at radio, for example, in the state of Missouri, all right, you got 97.1 and KMOX radio, which that is probably the gold standard of broadcasting. I'm not talking about what they say, but I'm talking about the power that they have. KMOX radio carried the St. Louis Cardinal games forever. They went to 38 states at one time. KMOX radio in the heart of the country is a behemoth. They now are aligned with Conservative Talk 97.1, and they were bought out by George Soros affiliated people just recently. Odyssey Radio, it's called Odyssey. That was bought up by George Soros. Now you have Salem Radio. Salem Radio is now being run by Brad Parscale, which we talked about yesterday. Actually, I have something on that. Brad Parscale was in the Trump campaign. Here it is. Max Blumenthal's talking about it. These stories, it seems like I talk about them, and I don't want to get.
Thanks to Donna. She just donated $5. She said, "Arrest Fauci."
I'm with you, Donna. Thank you, Donna. I appreciate it very much. Max Blumenthal says Donald Trump Jr. and Laura Trump hold a 30% stake in Salem Media, which is registered as a foreign agent for Israel. Does everybody understand that? Now, if that's something that you are for, then I would say that you want to spend your time on Salem Radio. You might want to spend your time on Odyssey Radio. But if you disagree with those things and you want free, independent thought, not thought that is, when you are getting the kind of money that these operations get, these radio operations in the state of Missouri, Salem, Odyssey, and the like, you are beholden to Republican talking points.
Mm-hmm. I mean, people are getting $7,000 for a social media post, one social media post about Israel, and they're getting $7,000 for that. The MAGA influencers.
And you can watch it work. You can watch that situation work. When Donald Trump said we need to build a new ballroom because this guy that tried to take me out at the White House Correspondents' Dinner, this would have never happened if we had the bulletproof windows and the security at the ballroom at the White House. And all of his social media influencers that are aligned with that, they get into a chat, they get the talking points, and then they put it out. And you know how I know, Isaiah? I was on his campaign. I was on Donald Trump's campaign. That's exactly what it was going with me. You'd get a text. This is the Donald Trump position. It would basically say, do you agree with his position? It made it look like you were involved in the decision-making process as somebody that was on his campaign. And then when I went to sign up for the campaign, my job was to argue the talking points on social media. And that's exactly what they're doing here. Only I didn't get $7,000, which is a bunch of crap. Really, I should have got my $7,000. I feel like I got slighted. I feel like I got the guy, or helped, I should say, helped get him into the White House. And now all these Johnny come latelys are getting $7,000 for tweets when I was there from day one.
Yeah,
Isaiah.
I wonder how much money Trisha Hope should really get too, right? It's like,
Trisha
oh my
Hope.
gosh, all these people that just really helped push President Trump in many different ways.
And took a lot of grief for it, Isaiah. That's the
Yeah.
thing that most people don't understand. When you were with Donald Trump from the very beginning, way back, there's my friend Ben Murphy. When we were back there in the day, it was hell. It was tough on my family. It was tough on my kids. I mean, I was getting absolutely destroyed by people in my life on social media for simply supporting Donald Trump. Okay, so let's just leave it there. Max Blumenthal, Donald Trump Jr. and Laura Trump hold a 30% stake in Salem Media, which is registered as a foreign agent of Israel. Eric Trump's company has merged with an Israeli drone firm, and Don Jr. is a top backer. The Trump family business empire has effectively merged with Israel. This is according to Max Blumenthal, who is Jewish. So if you think he's an anti-Semite, he's a Jewish person who's a reporter, and this is what he is putting out into the world for you to consider. Okay. Let's start with free speech, because we talked about it yesterday, and I have a lot of things to get to. But I want to start with free speech. Yesterday, I said you're beginning to see the rollout. You're beginning to see the rollout of a discussion as to how far the social media platforms can take free speech. And it started with Mark Levin. Can we just play Mark Levin one more time? And we got a half an hour before Ann Vandersteel comes in. If you can go to yesterday's, because I want to remind people who may not have been watching yesterday. If you can watch how this is all beginning to roll out. One of the things that we're going to do on this show, and that's why I started talking about marketing earlier with Skechers and so forth, and just my background in marketing and propaganda, things that I'm interested in. Do I have a degree in it? I have a degree in studying it for 25 years. So yeah, a master's degree is 8 years.
Yep.
What does studying it privately for 25 years get you?
I think, what do they say? 10,000 hours makes you an expert.
I'm a platinum degree holder in propaganda and marketing then. Okay. And what I'm beginning to see is the slow rollout of the marketing campaign. It starts with Mark Levin on Fox News. Then we had Carolyn Levitt talk about we have to do something about what's going on with social media because these monsters out there are trying to say that the assassination attempt, supposedly, on Donald Trump at the White House Correspondents' Dinner, now they're putting all this stuff out into social media. It's causing all kinds of consternation, and they are now looking to possibly stop that as an idea. Okay? So now, if we go to free speech, what did Donald Trump say today? You have that.
Today, yeah. Let me actually. I want to share it on the screen just so everyone can see it.
Hey, thank you, everybody. Thank you, Jenny, for reposting. Thank Ben Murphy.
There's a bunch of people that have been reposting. Really appreciate you guys. Here we go. When is ABC? Sorry, can you read it? Sorry,
yeah, I'll read it. Thank you. It says when is ABC fake news network firing seriously unfunny Jimmy Kimmel, who incompetently presides over one of the lowest rated shows on television? People are angry. It better be soon. President DJT. Now, you got to remember, this is the weight of the president of the United States. And I just ask, how would people feel if Barack Obama was doing that to somebody that you like? Maybe misguided, but now you're talking about the power of the presidency, asking for firing a late night talk show host who I don't like Jimmy Kimmel either. I want to make that perfectly clear. I think he's, I don't think his jokes are funny, and I don't think he's funny. And never did. Even when he was back in the day when he was on the Man Show, I didn't think he was. I just don't think Jimmy Kimmel's funny. That's just my opinion. Maybe it's because the political humor doesn't resonate with me, whatever it is. But calling for his removal is really based on a joke that he made about Melania Trump. He said she has all the glow of an expectant widow, all the glow of an expectant widow. Okay. Is that a threat? I don't know. I mean, Jimmy Kimmel, does anybody think that Jimmy Kimmel, a comedian, is really trying to threaten the president of the United States? But now, because of this, like I said, most of these things are scripted. My opinion. Can I say that? Is it still free to have an opinion? Isaiah, will we look that up? Is it still free to have an opinion?
Did you see the Erica Kirk video?
We're going to get to that.
We're coming to it. Get it scripted. Just want to
we're coming to it
that a little bit.
I'm actually leading up to Erica Kirk and her situation. Yes. Okay, so it's
all scripted.
This information comes out. This joke comes out from Jimmy Kimmel. Then Melania Trump, who everybody loves. How can you not love Melania Trump? She's a beautiful woman. She has to put up with Donald Trump and his golfing and the whole thing, and the fact that he was going to. Remember the where he said he was trying to have sex with this girl on the bus. Remember the bus video back in the day? Okay. So she's got to put up with that public humiliation and all the things. And everybody loves her because, you know, she's the first lady. She's very elegant. She's got these beautiful outfits and the like. I got it. All right. But when she comes out and says that this really offended her, it's hurting her family, this and that and the other, then the people that love the White House, they love Donald Trump, they love Melania Trump, they begin to organize. And now they are using that event. Because if you wonder why people think things are scripted, it is because this event at the White House Correspondents' Dinner has led to conversations restricting free speech and getting a ballroom built. And we're going to talk about the ballroom blitz here in just a bit as well. Okay. So let's talk about free speech first. Let's go with
I got Mark Levine here.
Let's start with Mark Levine. This is where it all began. I won't get into it like I did yesterday about the propaganda and the way he's conflating issues, just a propaganda technique, but you can figure it out for your own. Here is Mark Levine saying, should we have this much free speech? Check it out.
Things like this have happened, but it really is problematic because so much of it is protected. And you heard people say, don't you believe in the First Amendment? They don't even know what the First Amendment believes. Do you want to deplatform people? You know, the libs do that. I don't have any problem with deplatforming Nazis or jihadis. I don't have any problem with deplatforming them. What does that mean, deplatforming them? A government law? No. It means that X or Twitter or Facebook or Amazon with Twitch and so forth says, you know what? You're a lowlife. We're not paying, you know, get off our platform. What's wrong with that?
What's wrong with that?
Enterprise. I got no problem with
private
that.
enterprise.
You're a lowlife.
Come on. I mean, it's the public square. I said yesterday and the day before, it's like saying that the public square is your telephone. And if I say something to a friend on my telephone that the public square doesn't like for why couldn't you say the same thing about Apple telephones?
Yeah.
Right. If I'm having a conversation
and you don't like
a bad conversation, can Apple just turn my phone off, or can Ma Bell just turn my phone off back in the day? Of course not. Just because it's a public platform, it's the public square now. This is the public square. This is where people communicate. And if you're going to restrict our conversations on the public square, then we have to assume that the First Amendment is not very important to you. That's Mark Levine. Okay. Then Donald Trump's headline we just read. And now let's go to Erica Kirk. So Erica Kirk, and look at the eyes on Erica Kirk. Woo! Spooky. I mean, did she look like that when Charlie Kirk, like, could you imagine doing something wrong in the household of Erica Kirk? And you got to look at those eyes. Oh my goodness, Lord. I mean, I'm sure she's a wonderful lady and all that. But man, those eyes they freak me out.
Piercing.
They're piercing to say the least. And they just look, I don't know. Something's going on there with the eyeballs. Anyway, she comes out yesterday and she's got all black on. She has her hat that is all black with freedom written on black. You can barely see it in her outfit. And she's coming out and she is putting the weight of Turning Point USA behind the idea of restricting free speech. Check out Erica Kirk. Go.
That is what Jimmy Kimmel did to the First Lady. He said that she had the glow of an expected widow.
Oh my God, no way. Look at those eyes. Woo!
The
Holy
glow
Moses.
of an expected widow. Just 48 hours before that nightmare almost became a reality.
Wow.
Look at them eyes. Look at that person.
Yeah. That's why I left it up there for a second, just so you could see it.
Oh, mercy, mercy me. If anybody knows that song. I think this is a campaign. These are campaigns. They're obviously trying to restrict free speech. They're going to make the argument that there's too much misinformation on social media, as though the corporate media is telling you the truth. The whole thing is absurd, but just be careful of it because that is what they want to do. They want to restrict your free speech. How can they allow what I'm saying? Could you imagine, Isaiah, 5 years from now when we have 50 million people listening to what we're doing? Can you imagine what that's going to look like?
Yeah.
They're going to have to try to restrict that, and you're going to have to push back against it. You're going to have to recognize that even though you support Donald Trump, you love First Lady Melania Trump, you have to recognize that if we don't have our First Amendment rights, the next administration that you don't love so much, somebody like Gavin Newsom, could come in and say, did you say that you don't like transitioning kids at age 8 years old? You are an evil demon. How can you possibly say that? Cut them off. Any jokes about transitioning kids at 8 years old will not be tolerated on social media. And I, Lord Gavin Newsom, have restricted you from having those conversations. That's what you're going to get yourself into. This is how the government works. This is how the courts work. Everything is built on precedent and hypocrisy. Okay. So that is my take on what is rolling out as a restriction of your First Amendment rights by the government that told us they were for mass transparency. What do you think? Am I crazy, Isaiah?
No,
am I making this case properly? I always wonder.
I think that it's I think it's interesting to see people who have been the defenders of free speech who got canceled. The people that got canceled are now calling for someone to be canceled.
I got canceled.
And so, as much as you may not like what someone's saying, that is the whole purpose of having a freedom of speech.
Right.
Just because Mark Levine doesn't like Nazis doesn't mean that they shouldn't be able to express their ideology.
Exactly.
Even no matter how abhorrent it is.
Exactly. You could start a Nazi party right here in America, and you have the right to do it.
Yeah.
You have the right to speak.
Yep.
If you're for transgenderism, you have the right to speak. If you're against it, you have the right to speak. There's a lot of, if you're for abortion, against abortion, there's a lot of things that are very emotional to people, but that doesn't mean you get to shut the other side up. At least that's my opinion. Okay.
That's what Charlie Kirk was standing for.
Correct.
Is for public discourse. And this is the complete opposite of everything that, I mean, I've consumed a lot of his content. I'm sure your sons have probably consumed a lot of his content too. And that's the message I got from him is like, no matter how much you disagree with someone, as abhorrent as their beliefs are, you have to have conversations.
100%. That's how people learn, is through conversation, right? I want to do just this very quickly because this was not on the agenda. Then I want to play that song to see if people like it. Yes. But let me start with Pete Hegseth. Now, I think Pete Hegseth is not in charge of anything. Okay, I've been saying this for quite some time. I remember I was talking to my friend, and she goes, "You don't trust Pete Hegseth?" And I said, "No, I don't trust Pete Hegseth. I don't even know who Pete Hegseth. Why would you trust Pete Hegseth?
Yeah, who is he?
Right? He got accused of rape from some woman at a hotel bar. He has all kinds of charges of him of being kind of a drunkard type of person. I don't know whether it's true. I'm just saying these were the accusations going in. I guess if you run for public
you know
office,
where he went to school, right?
Harvard. He's a Harvard guy. And so do I trust him? Not necessarily. Do I distrust him? Only when he says things that I don't buy into. Like when he tries to push a war with Iran. We talked about that when it all began. The Iran war was sold to us 50 different ways, which are now demonstrably untrue. If you remember, what was it, midnight? What was it when they bombed him the first time in Iran? Do you remember that? They had some name, Midnight, whatever, where they were
Midnight Hammer.
Midnight Hammer, where they supposedly blew up the infrastructure of Iran's nuclear capabilities, and they said they obliterated it. What can you look up the word obliterated? What does I think maybe people don't know what obliterated means. Let's put that up on the screen. But they said they obliterated Iran's nuclear capabilities. All right, they obliterated them. If we can get the definition of obliterated, then we can kind of figure out what obliterated means, because they said it over and over. It wasn't like they said it one time. That's what Donald Trump said. That's what everybody in his cabinet said. That's what Pete Hegseth said. That's what Marco Rubio said. That's what they all said. Can you just read that out? Because
obliterated means completely destroyed and wiped out or erased, leaving little to no trace behind.
Okay, that's what obliterated means.
Destruction.
Now, in my opinion, if they haven't released a nuclear bomb in 40 years, and then you've obliterated it back down to almost nothing, I don't think we're in imminent danger of more nuclear bombs, which is what they said. They said it could happen any day now. We stopped them from nuclear catastrophe. That is the new war that we're having with Iran. That's completely unconstitutional. That was the reason we went back to it. So let's just do a little Pete Hegseth thought process. Okay, let's start with Pete Hegseth.
Wow.
On clip number 15, because
before we go to the clip, I'm just reading his Wikipedia page. Did you know that he served in Guantanamo Bay?
Pete Hegseth?
Yeah,
I did not know that.
It's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Well, let's play this clip by him.
All right. So and let me set it up for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I want you to listen to the conflicting ideas. I think the congressman does a pretty good job of getting him to admit it. But again, I think most of this stuff, nobody really cares anymore, right? You're either, if you like Donald Trump, you're for the war. If you question Donald Trump, you're against the war. And then there's people in the middle who don't even know what day of the week it is. But go ahead and rock it out. This is Pete Hegseth in testimony. Check it out.
On getting a nuclear weapon and get them to a point where they're at the table giving it up in a way that
so they
never have it.
So they haven't broken yet. Okay, we haven't gotten there yet for all of the.
Well, their nuclear facilities have been obliterated. Underground, they're buried, and we're watching them 24/7. So we know where any nuclear material
reclaiming
might be.
my time for
we're
just
watching
a quick second here. We had to start this war, you just said, 60 days ago, because the nuclear weapon was an imminent threat. Now you're saying that it was completely obliterated?
They had not given up their nuclear ambitions, and they had a conventional shield of thousands of missiles.
So Operation Midnight Hammer accomplished nothing of substance. It left us at exactly the same place we were before. So much so
their
that we had to
facilities
start
were
a
bombed
war.
and obliterated. Their ambitions continued, and they're building a conventional shield.
All right,
of
let me
missiles.
try again.
It's the North Korea strategy. You know this very well. The North
I
Korea
know.
strategy was use conventional missiles to prevent anybody from challenging them, so they could slow walk their way to a weapon. President Trump saw Iran at its weakest moment, took an action to ensure, in a way that only the United States of America could do with our Israeli partners,
And yet
to
they
ensure their
still haven't given
conventional
up the nuclear.
shield was
All right.
was
I
brought
got one
to
other
heel, which
question.
we've done.
That's
if I
good.
could get to it. So on you.
Now let's follow it through logic, okay, versus emotion. Let's follow this through logic. 7 or 8 months ago, they said they completely obliterated Iran's ability to create nuclear war. Their ability to build a nuclear weapon was obliterated, I don't know what, 7, 8 months ago. Now you come back and we start an unprovoked war where Marco Rubio said the only reason we jumped in was to precede Israel, who they believed were going to do it first, so we beat them to the punch. This is what Marco Rubio said in a press conference. Okay, so we're just following the logic of the situation. Now we're saying that they didn't have any nuclear capability because it was buried, as Pete Hegseth said, under the rubble. But they were building a nuclear missile systems to create a shield over their obliterated nuclear weapons. And then our government supposedly took out that missile shield in about a day and a half. I think it took them a day and a half. And this incredible missile system they have. This is what our government is telling us. We went to war to liberate their people. That was obviously BS. Donald Trump said every time they hear bombs in Iran, they think, yes, here comes America, which is completely insane, right? Then it wasn't for oil, then it was for oil, then it was to control oil, then it wasn't to control oil, it was to stop China, then it was to help China. These are the stories that have been coming out. And as I was saying to somebody on social media today, I think the game plan is confusion. The game plan is to give you anything that you want to take hold of. Anything that you want to believe is out there for you to believe, and then you can argue it based on what your perceptions are. Okay? That is Pete Hegseth. Now, the result of it, because he had another guy questioning, and Pete Hegseth said he did not know the cost of this war, what it was going to cost the American citizen. I think somebody did the study based on fuel prices at this particular moment, and it was like $5 or $6 or $700 billion. I forget the number, but it was somewhere between $500 and $700 billion. This is going to cost the American consumer with higher energy prices. Okay, this is a famous influencer that goes out onto X all the time. It is clip number 14. Listen to what he says about fuel prices. And is your family getting crunched by fuel prices? Is your business getting crunched by fuel prices? I have friends that are in the general contracting business, and some of them have 25, 30, 40 trucks. It's costing them sometimes $10,000 more a month just in fuel. They don't have $10,000. Is this thing on? They don't have $10,000 extra. They don't have it. So you're going to end up hurting small businesses. And Pete Hegseth does not seem to care whatsoever, as he said in the back and forth with his congressman about the cost of the war. Check out.
You remember what Ben Shapiro said, right?
Just go live somewhere else.
Yeah, you can't afford to just move somewhere else. Who cares? You can't afford to live where you grew up. Sorry.
If you can't live in Florida, pack up your bags. So that's going to be very inexpensive for me to move from Florida to Mississippi. Probably going to cost me about $25,000. I wonder if Ben's going to give me the money to do that.
Yeah,
or do I just go with clothes on my back and leave everything behind and walk to Mississippi? How would you do it? Ben Shapiro, another knucklehead. All right, let's do this social media guy, because I think this is very interesting. Might be a little couple curse words in here. If there are, I apologize, but they're coming. Clip number 14.
Awesome.
Gas prices were high yesterday. You better prepare yourself, because they're about to get Hunter Biden high.
That's high,
Trump
baby.
has been manipulating the futures market with his bullshit about, oh, the war's over, even when the war is not over. It doesn't matter, right? Those are the future prices that he's been manipulating. Spot price is what people are actually paying to get a barrel of oil purchased off the tankers. $140 a barrel. $140 a barrel is what oil is costing right now in reality if you want to buy a barrel of oil off a tanker. The futures market, completely manipulated, and reality is about to catch up. Gas prices jumped sometimes 50, 60 cents overnight. Everybody is over $4 a gallon. That shit could hit 5 or 6. Prepare yourselves for that reality, because there's no avoiding it at this point. J.D. Vance, he's trying to save his future in politics. J.D. Vance and his staff are leaking to Pentagon reporters yesterday, today, all over, that they think Trump is being lied to by Pete Hegseth and the other generals that are around him, telling him how the war is going. And it's like, oh, really? Really?
How many times have we heard that Donald Trump is getting bad information? Maybe Donald Trump should just pay attention to the world around him.
JD Vance said it.
Yeah, instead of getting bad information, just pay attention to the world around you. That would be nice. All right, let's play some music here real fast. So again, this is we'll play Ann Vandersteel after we play this music. Now I need your opinion on this. I happen to really like it. Isaiah, I don't know if you like it. I don't know if I'm not really a big country fan, but this is kind of
Country rock.
Country rock, country. It's got a it's got a vibe that I like. I can't explain it. It kind of feels a little bit like a cross between a great country artist and Kid Rock to me. That's what it feels like. But my friend Teresa Miller wrote it. She has the copyrights to it. If they take the show down, I don't know how they can take the show down when she give me express written her consent to do it. And I have it. Do I need to prove it? But she just wrote it, so I don't think it's we're in big trouble with copyrights on YouTube and Facebook just yet. But who knows? If it does and it goes down for a minute because we're playing the song, we're coming right back up. Don't worry about it. This is Teresa Miller. Her son played baseball. I coached baseball for years. Her son played baseball for me. She said, give Ian a shout out. Ian, I miss you, brother. I hope you're doing well. He's a great kid, probably in his early 30s right now, so he's not a kid anymore. And this is his mother, Teresa Miller. This is a song she wrote, and she said, I would be honored if you would play it on your show. Here we go. This might be our pre-roll, by the way. Tell me what you think.
You take him for the man who put money in your hands.
America, She Cries is the name of the song.
Still you laugh in the night. As we watch you steal, we see you smile. From the homes of the ones who have fought for your life. As we watch our country as she cries, yeah. She cries, she cries, she cries. She cries for the soldiers who gave their souls. She cries for her farmers, for the lies that they were told. She cries for her children whose lives were sold. She cries seeing her land turning into rust that once was as beautiful as gold. America, yeah, America, she cries. America, yeah, she cries for you, yeah, she cries for you. She wants you to understand that we must always march to only God's commands and keep fighting, yeah, keep fighting for our promised land, yeah, our promised land. She cries for the soldiers who gave their souls. She cries for her farmers, for the lies that they were told. She cries for her children whose lives were sold. She cries they left her land to turn into rust. Yeah, that once was as beautiful as gold. America, yeah, America, she cries. America,
All right, everybody. Tell me what you think of that song, America, She Cries. Again, a friend of mine is a writer in Nashville. She writes music, and her son played baseball for me. She heard that I was looking for music. She sent that to me, and I like it. I think it's absolutely fantastic. Let me read why I wanted to give or wanted to have Ann Vandersteel on the show. First of all, I just happen to really like Ann Vandersteel, and I think she's much smarter than me, much prettier than me. So I like to have her on the show as much as I can because she adds an element that I can't. She's very in tune with the financial markets. And because I've been covering MMTLP and I can't answer a lot of the questions, I just want transparency. She put something out about Iran. And let me just read it to you. This is about banking, Iran, cryptocurrency, and the like. And I want her to explain it because Isaiah and I probably could not explain this as well as Ann Vandersteel can. And you can check out, by the way, you can check out AnnVandersteel.com if you want to see her work. A brilliant lady. Here's what she writes. America needs to understand what just happened. Iran built an entire sanction-proof system using crypto, especially USDT digital dollars. Their central bank and IRGC moved money through it to bypass the global banking system. Then, on April 23rd, 2026, $344 million in USDT was frozen instantly, not seized later, not chased through banks, frozen on chain, because USDT isn't decentralized. It can be blacklisted. Wallets can be shut off, and that freeze was done in coordination with U.S. Treasury and law enforcement. Read that again. A nation tried to escape the system and got shut down with a command. Now look at the Clarity Act. It doubles down on the model. Track, trace, report to the IRS. Every wallet tied to identity. Every transaction visible. Every asset controllable. This isn't about Iran. This is the blueprint. Ask yourself, is this a CBDC in disguise? And that caught my attention because I don't trust anything that's going on in our government. I mean, absolutely nothing. Again, if the government says today is Thursday, I think it's Friday. That's the way I look at it right now, Isaiah. I don't buy anything that they have to say. And it appears that Ann Vandersteel, who seems pretty in tune with the financial markets, that's why she's been a big advocate for what MMTLP is trying to get out to the markets. She is the one that was, we played her clip of defending Michael Castellero just recently. So let's bring her in, the aforementioned, the lovely, the talented Ann Vandersteel. Ann, what's going on?
Wow, I think you're giving me way too much credit, but hey,
I didn't give you enough.
Thursday, I'll take it.
I didn't give you enough because you do things that I wish that I could do. Like when you put out these reports and you explain things, I just think you do such a great job, but you're one of the very few that kind of in 5 or 10 minutes can cut through very complicated information and make sense of it all. And that's why I wanted to have you on for this particular post that you put out. Can you explain the situation with Iran, cryptocurrencies, and what you're trying to make people aware of?
Sure. So let's rewind the clock back to when, Bitcoin first arrived on the scene. What we have learned from the Epstein files is that Jeffrey Epstein was definitely involved in the generation and the development of Bitcoin from a funding perspective. So knowing what we know about Epstein now and his connections to the intelligence community, it's, for me, that has always been sort of a hard no-go zone. In other words, I never invested in Bitcoin and I would not want to own Bitcoin. I've been a solid believer in physical, tangible assets, gold and silver, as that is real money. It's biblical. It's in our Constitution. Okay, set that aside. Now and that's a very high level overview on Bitcoin. It doesn't mean that people don't believe in it. Remember, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. But let's talk about what's happened. Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies were always set up for the decentralization aspects, the fact that you could transact without the government knowing what your business was. So what happened to Iran? Well, it could only have happened with the Genius Act and Clarity and the fact that FedNow and FinCEN and they've moved Bitcoin out of the SEC's operational control, so to speak, under the CFTC. But let's get down to the nitty gritties because the Genius Act doesn't make stablecoins, right? We're going to talk about stablecoins here for a second. Part of the Federal Reserve System. It actually plugs them into the control architecture of the Fed. So the Treasury, the banking system, the FinCEN, et cetera, they control. The Fed actually, as we know, controls the base money, all of our reserves, our dollar liquidity, et cetera. The Treasury controls the enforcement mechanisms, which is anti-money laundering, sanctions, and FinCEN. And the system distributes all money under those rules. So the Genius Act inserts the stable coins, which have to have a 1-to-1 ratio. You have to be backed. If you're going to have a stable coin, you have to be backed by U.S. Treasuries, bank deposits, or any cash equivalent. the Genius Act inserts those stablecoins directly into that triangle. So if you think about that, you are now realizing that you're living inside this Fed controlled system. So even if you think your stablecoin is private, right? It's still backed. It's still regulated by the Fed. It depends on the treasury markets because it has to be backed, and it's subject to any liquidity rules that are, being shaped by the Federal Reserve. So what does that mean? It means stablecoins essentially are some sexy sounding wrapper around what we know to be the Fed controlled money system. So understanding that that's the case, would it be any wonder that when Iran, who has been sanctioned into an oblivion by the United States for years now, tries to sneak one around and move their money and assets through Bitcoin and through their own crypto, all of a sudden finds themselves getting their assets seized because it's still running through the same payment rails, through the same banking system. So that banking integration basically is the equivalent of access control by the Fed regulated institutions, and that allows them to operate legally under the Genius Act. So you have to, if you want to be legal, you've got to partner with these regulated banks. You have to maintain custody relationships. And these banks are all part of the Federal Reserve System. So this is how Iran got themselves into a chokehold still with the United States government. It sounds, it's very genius, but it's evil in the sense that people were lured into all this crypto thinking that they were going to be safe from the federal layer. And you're not.
I kind of felt that was happening too. I didn't get into it. A lot of people that are very smart and made a lot of money on crypto, quite honestly, a lot of dollars, if you will, were telling me to get into crypto. And I'm like, I just don't understand it. I don't have enough money to invest on things that are games to me. And when the people are trying to get me to invest, I just said, I don't understand it. I can't invest in something that I don't quite understand. Sure. I was going to ask you too, the Genius Act. I believe the Genius Act, when it was being pushed, the states did not want to be centralized with regulation on crypto and on AI. Is that the way you remember it? Because I remember having these conversations.
Yeah. The states are really in the fight of their life, and it takes a governor with guts to stand on the 10th Amendment.
Are there any?
Well, Paul Renner, hopefully our governor of Florida, if we can, beat the Byron brigade back, which is just, absolutely insane that he even has a platform at this point with everything we know about him. But yeah, we don't really have governors with guts. That's the problem. And that's what we need is governors with guts that'll stand on the 10th, because that does protect us from an overarching, tyrannical government that's waging war using, bureaucracies like the SEC, like the CFTC to rope-a-dope us into what we think is, sublime, when it turns out all we're doing is we're being put into the same anti-money laundering, know your customer compliance, all the sanction and enforcement that goes on there. And they're going to be monitoring all these transactions because all of those transactions are going to flow through FinCEN, which is the Treasury, and they're going to be sharing all of our data with all the regulators. So the Fed doesn't have to run on enforcement directly, but it's operating direct in lockstep with the Treasury. So again, this is how Iran got trapped, and this is how we, the people, are going to be trapped. And then you layer in the Clarity Act, and then the IRS is up your butt with a microscope. It's serious. It's no different than just keeping your cash in the bank at this point.
That was when the Genius Act, as I remember it, was the argument was that we wanted to be able to regulate AI within the states, and that was a big argument. Marjorie Taylor Greene was talking about it a lot. And then they kind of gave us like it was going to be fine. The states are going to be able to regulate through the Genius Act, or the Genius Act wouldn't totally encompass all of the states, but it did. It did. Yeah. Now we have centralized power with the Genius Act. So all this AI is now federally. It's all determined federally. And do I have that right? That's the way I understand it. That's what Marjorie.
You have it right. I mean, here's the next layer that people don't want to talk, don't want to swallow on this, but we've all been fighting no CBDC. So Trump signed an executive order, no CBDC. But, even if the Genius Act isn't mandated to be programmable, once the money is now digitized,
She froze up. When you're talking to Fed, this is what happens. See if she pops back on. Because I got so many questions to ask her, Isaiah. Can you text her maybe? Let me text her, let her know if she froze up. Hang on 1 second, everybody. What does she need to do, Isaiah?
Probably just leave and join back in because she's completely frozen. So something must have happened on her end with Wi-Fi or the camera.
She'll realize it here in just a minute.
Yep.
I'll text her while we're doing that. See, she talks about these financial situations in a manner that I can't do it. I want to do it.
Here's some comments we can go through while she's trying to join back in.
All right.
Someone said, Jay Brown said, that's really good info. Stablecoins will be regulated and the liquidity maintained by the Fed, so the Fed can continue to extract liquidity. Sounds like there is no other way. And then someone said, Kehoe certainly does not have guts.
Well, no, that's that's where I want to get with her, because she's pushing Paul Renner, who was the former Speaker of the House in the state of Florida. Paul Renner, we've had him on the show twice now. He agrees with everything that we're talking about. I think that's why Ann likes him. He has experience, military guy, very measured, very articulate. When he comes on, it feels like he could do radio. And I think we're starting to recognize that the traditional way of Republican thinking, which is top down, the federal government tells you what to think from in all these different issues, and then the people within the states just parrot it, and that becomes the way it works. Let me see if she's responding to me here. Where is Ann? Anything else on the chat?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We got tons of stuff. People said, are income taxes illegal? Someone else, then Jay Brown again said, when they relaxed the regulations on AI to a federal level, I knew we were screwed. And then lots of support from the MMTLP community. People are just putting in their appreciation to you and to Ann for covering the situation.
They should give it to Ann, because Ann has done an amazing job with MMTLP. I was just getting the story out there. She's actually she studied it backwards and forwards and could talk about it for hours as to what's going on with MMTLP. That's why I hope we get to her, because I know the MMTL people will begin to join and they'll want to see what she has to say. So let's give her time to get back in here. And here's what we are going to ask. We get Ann. If not, I'll get her on the phone if we need to. We'll try to call her. There she is. Get back on.
Yep.
All right. Bring her back in.
Get her back in here.
Sorry about that. My internet crashed again, I think twice in 1 week. I don't know what they're doing in the neighborhood. They're obviously tampering with the lines.
Is it Mossad?
My husband's very happy.
We assume everything's Mossad now. That's what we're.
Yes,
it's Mossad. No, I don't know. I mean, I guess Xfinity is going to send me a text here shortly telling me what happened, but that's just bad. I'm going to ask for a refund.
Well, especially for your line of work, right? You need that internet to be working quite well, right?
All the time. Thank God I can limp along on.
Yeah. Oh, you're still freezing up just a little bit. You might have just internet problems in general.
Yeah.
I can hear you though. I can hear you. The picture now is good. We'll go as long as we can. Let me bounce over to Paul Renner, because I think I'm going to meet you down on May 23rd in Paul Renner's event. How well do you know this guy? Because I've had him on the show twice, and I was just telling the audience, I really like the way he goes about his business. He's very measured. As I said, he sounds like he could do radio because of his articulation of his thought process is very clear. I understand what he's talking about. It doesn't feel like he's trying to BS me. You know, when you get some of these politicians on and you ask them a difficult question, it takes them 10 minutes to not give you the answer. He was not doing that. He was giving me the answers as we went along here in his position on things. Do you know him very well? Is this somebody that you just align with politically, or is this somebody that you happen to know?
I've gotten to know him. I met him months ago and have been able to talk on the phone with him many times, text with him. I sent him a text this morning, as a matter of fact, on some issues. And I know his senior campaign strategist and advisor, Annie Maria Delgado. I've worked with her for over 10 years now, and she and I are very aligned. So when she first brought him to me, it was after she decided she was going to leave the Byron Donalds campaign. And she said, you know what? I don't like what I see, and I love what I see over here, and I want you to meet this guy. I'd heard of him, but I didn't know anything about him other than, I had to do my own research and look and see what he did. He was incredibly effective during the DeSantis term for the architecture of the free state of Florida. So am I connected?
No, you're okay. We can hear you. You're cutting in and out a little bit. We can hear you.
I just see it going black. I just want to make sure it's not me. So from the free state of Florida position, I said that's fantastic, because as you know, I run this Lenko Freedom Foundation, which operates under the name of American Made. And we're very much about health sovereignty, medical freedom, et cetera. But in addition to that, property taxes have crushed people in Florida. They check every, and it's already, property tax is the legal face of it. But that being said, that's another fish to fry. There's a million.
What a bummer.
Up for $50,000 for a homestead. Right now, we get a $50,000 homestead deduction. $50,000 off tax property value. He's going to give it $1 million. So most of Florida probably won't pay property taxes. I dare say most people have a $1 million. They may have a real estate value over $1 million, but the tax appraisal value is always far short of that. So I'm like thrilled because I pay property tax. That's a big rate. Buy a car.
Yeah, you're cutting out, and hang on one second. I think we should do this by phone because I want to hear what you have to say. See, now you clear up. Now you clear up right when I say Mossad heard that we were going to call you, and then they cleaned up. But let's do a phone. Live. Well, I can hear you, but if you cut up, then I'm just going to call you.
How about I do this? How about I just do this? Maybe this will help. That might help. It's less bandwidth.
We're hearing you. Isaiah's shaking his head. Yes.
Yeah, that's totally fine.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay. Yeah, I just took the camera off, which makes it more. It makes it easier to.
I was going to say, Isaiah, maybe put a picture up of Ann so people know who we're talking to. If they're on it, scrolling. Yeah, if we're scrolling through social media. Okay, and so Paul Renner, I tend to agree with you. What is your take on this Jim Fishback? He's been on the show right at the very beginning. I saw him on social media, and he said he was going to sue the Fed. He seems to have a lot of the same positions as Paul. Have you looked into Jim Fishback down in Florida? Have you talked to him at all?
I met him at an event for a congressional candidate, John Strand, I don't know, maybe 5 months ago or so over in Naples. And nice guy, well-spoken, very articulate, very passionate, really gets the young crowd riled up, which I love because the youngsters the youngsters seem to be disengaged from politics for the most part, but they seem to be engaging with Fishback, which is fantastic. It is my understanding that although he is a born and raised Florida native, he did move to Washington, D.C. for a period of time where he registered to vote, which is fantastic. I'm glad he stayed engaged in the process. But when you change your voter registration and your residency, and then you come back to Florida and re-register and reestablish residency, you must have 7 consecutive years of residency and voting on the record to statutorily be eligible to run for governor. And it is my understanding or comprehension that he does not meet that statutory requirement based on his return to Florida. So wow. I think it's incredible that he's out there campaigning. He's really just laying down some stuff. I've seen him say some things that were a little bit like, whoa. I think he said something about lynching a black guy once to his face, that he should be lynched for what he said.
Yes.
I thought that was a pretty extreme.
I thought that was kind of crazy. I played that clip, Ann. I played that on the show.
Did you now? Yeah, that was pretty intense. So, okay. So he did that. But I mean, all in all, he's talking about things that everybody else is feeling and seeing, and he's riling up the folks, which is fine. But I think that, unfortunately, he doesn't meet the eligibility statutorily speaking. So, hey, come back in another 5 or 6 years and run again. That would be awesome. Yeah. But he should get behind Renner, because Renner is the only candidate that is not only eligible, but he's really on par with putting Floridians first in everything and doing it in a way, like you said, that's measured, that has thought. He has policies already developed. He has thought through just about everything, including how to deal with AI, which is simple. Pause. Let's do some seriously deep research before we even consider, clearing another square inch of land to build a monster data center, which we have no idea what the health effects are from that. We know there's no real job creation there, and we know we're going to give up a lot of land, and it's going to be very destructive to our environment. But let's look at all the other, ancillary or deleterious effects of an AI data center in your neighborhood.
Right. Yeah, I agree, and we're pushing back. So we have a 501c4 in the state of Missouri. And I'm challenging all of these Republican bigwigs in the state of Missouri just to a public conversation about it, because they're pushing it very hard. The bigwigs in the state of Missouri are just jamming AI data centers down the throat of our citizens in Missouri. And I go back and forth between Florida and Missouri, but the bottom line is people don't want it. I mean, everywhere they try to pop one up, the people fight back against it, and they just ignore them, and they continue to build them. So I'm anxious to have somebody from the Republican Party push back against the leadership, if you understand what I'm saying. What do you and speaking of Republican leadership, what is your take on Donald Trump? I think you're like me. We followed Donald Trump. We were big Donald Trump fans. We supported him. I don't know. I worked on his campaign in 2016. When you're talking about the Genius Act, the Clarity Act, now he's pushing for 702 FISA warrants. Are you beginning to see, as I'm describing to my audience, a surveillance state that is coming into fruition? Things that you would have never believed that could possibly happen are now starting to take shape. You've got the kill switches in our vehicles. You got the monitoring of every movie make on our vehicles. You got the flock cameras. You have the AI data centers that are going to surveil and store information.
Yeah.
I'm starting to panic about a complete loss of Fourth Amendment rights and a total control system. And I don't see anybody pushing back on it within either party, really. Do you?
Uh, Broadly speaking, no. The only person I see pushing back is Renner here in
Right.
Florida. I
Right.
mean, that's it. I mean, that's the only person who's being very outspoken about AI data centers and the development thereof, unlike Byron, who is being funded by big tech that wants these and is working in lockstep. So you're right. I do see the Palantir prison state being developed broadly across a whole host of areas of our life. But really, it's about gathering this information and funneling it into the bureaucratic machine of Washington, D.C., which, as I spoke to Paul Renner a week before last at a private event at the Trump National in Jupiter. That's right. I said a Trump national property had Paul Renner there. Wink, wink. Hello. Read the writing on the wall, folks. Byron
Yes.
ain't your guy. But he and I specifically had a one-off about agency government. And I started to say, I think we should push it out into the field where it belongs. He said, exactly. The USDA should be in Kansas. And he started rattling off every agency and why they should be dissolved out of DC and stood up in a different form somewhere else. And I said, I couldn't agree with you more. This should be, this shouldn't be a job for life for some civil servant and some SES level executive that is making, $150,000 a year that does nothing but show up to work once a week and push a piece of paper across
Right.
their desk. So, yeah.
Well, I agree with you 100% on your assessment. That's exactly the way I see it. I think deconsolidation of power is where we need to start moving. And every time I see power consolidating, I push back against it. And what's funny is I can't really get people to engage in a debate with me, Ann. I'm talking about the people that are pushing these things really hard. They know that we have influence in the state of Missouri, right? They know that we have influence. They know we have a ton of grassroots power behind us, and we drive these people crazy. And all I'm saying is I'm not saying that you're doing anything nefarious with these AI data centers, but come out and have a public conversation with us, and we'll see if they do it. Generally speaking, they'll come on the show, they'll do the interviews, but if we ever want to get really deep into the issues, they all seem to run away. And all these grassroots organizations that claim they're grassroots that support it, they don't want to have public conversations either. I just thought it was something to watch out for in Florida because that's the way it is in Missouri. Let's get to some of the financial stuff. What is your take? I got some pushback. There seems to be a group of people on social media that push back against MMTLP, where we'll go in just a minute, but also the Mike Castellero story. I had him on the show. I found him very endearing. I cannot imagine being in the crosshairs of the SDNY. It appears to me that they mischaracterized his business and then took him down a road. He says they offered, if he would pay $75 million, they'd make it all go away. And now he's looking at 11 years in prison. What is your take on that story? Do you think that this has made it to Donald Trump's desk for a pardon? Peter Tickton, I would think, would have some kind of pull to get it in front of Donald Trump. You have any sense of where that position is at? And
Yeah,
do you have any?
I do think between Alice and Peter Tickton, it has made it to Trump's desk. I know he's looking at doing pardons in the month of May, and then I heard there's going to be a huge pardon sweep on July 4th. Now, I heard that, so I can't confirm it. I've not been able to confirm that, but this is what I'm hearing through certain sources, and it would make sense. It's Independence Day, right? But look, let's look at the facts of the case. First of all, you had a private pre-IPO fund, Straight Path Venture Partners, that had made boatloads of money for their investors. And they had a $400 million fund that when the SEC came calling and saying, again, unregulated, they're not part of Regulation D. They are not part of the SEC jurisdiction whatsoever. But the SEC decided to stick their nose under the tent because they all happen to be Trump supporters, by the way, and asked to see if they could audit the books. And so because they were doing nothing wrong and their investors were keenly happy, they said, sure. So they opened the kimono, let them have everything. They produced every single document. It was thousands of documents they produced. And then the SEC decided to collude with the DOJ to press charges. And they basically said that they accused them of naked short selling, which they never did because this was all pre-IPO. They accused them of overcharging in terms of their own fees. Nobody that invested with them was complaining about how much money the three partners made because everybody was making scads of money. So, and a few other choice charges, but, they were found guilty in the Southern District of New York. Shocker, I know, by the same Judge Furman who went after Trump. Shocking, I know. So when you start to put all these things together, Rob, it just smells of complete political targeting and weaponization of the government and the agency system, along with the Department of Justice. So this is not the first rodeo for any Americans to hear a story like this, how that government was weaponized against the people. And so they immediately turned this over they bankrupted this company, turned it over to a U.S. Bankruptcy trustee, who then proceeded to liquidate the fund by $30 million for administrative costs. What the hell do you do for $30 million?
I know.
You know, and then returned the rest of the money back to the investors, who got less out after all of this than they put in. So the whole thing is just nonsense, complete nonsense. It was designed to destroy an entity that was not under the SEC umbrella, but mostly because of partisan political, viewpoints by the SEC. And this is Gary Gensler's SEC. Might I remind everybody who Gary Gensler is? The same SEC chair who was present during the MMTLP fiasco, who also came from the Hillary Clinton campaign as the chief financial officer for that campaign, which remind everybody, this major dot to connect, that campaign paid Perkins Coie, the law firm who paid Christopher Steele for the Steele dossier that started the whole Russian collusion hoax.
Amen.
So, I mean, the dots connect. It's just the same old, and the playbook's tired, and we got to burn it. We're going to burn it all down, and that's where we are. So I stand with the folks at Straight Path, with Brian Martinson, Michael Castellero, Fran Lanaya. They're wonderful people, and I've known them now personally, and I can only tell you incredible things about them. There's nothing that reeks of impropriety at all. If anything, it's absolutely disgusting what is going on by our government.
I love to hear that, because I you kind of connect with people when you talk to them, right? And I was getting into what his family is going through, this and that and the other, and I sensed a very honest person. I just sensed a guy that is getting ready to look at prison time, and he's got a wife and a child, and he's panicking. He's panicking because he's starting to come to the realization that his own government might put him in prison on trumped up charges based on politics, and there's not a lot you can really do. It just feels almost like a helpless situation. So I hope he gets that pardon. I agree with you. My sense of him was that he was telling the truth. You know the details better than I do, but I think he's telling the truth about the situation. Let's get to MMTLP. We'll have a lot of people listening to the show today, and because of MMTLP.
Love those people.
I do too.
They're just so based. They're awesome.
They are unbelievable. The fights going back and forth. You watch these fights that go on between their naysayers and the MMTLP. And what is your take on that? Well, I just wonder what your take on is. Why are these people, and just in your opinion, 3.5 years later, what MMTLP is saying is that they believe they were defrauded out of their money. The U3 halt was the beginning of it. Now they're trying to get public representation. They're public servants, to go out and get them justice. And the can is continuing to be kicked down the road. We're 3.5 years later. And then they have these people on social media that are just trying to savage them as though they're these maniacs. What is your take on it? And here's one, Amy right here. She's listening in. She said he was barred by FINRA under Trump. I guess that was Michael Castellero. But what is your take on the pushback from these people on social media? What is their game? Do you understand it?
Well, in my humble estimation, is that agency government is coming under scrutiny in a lot of areas, and it's because the people are standing up, and they're recognizing this all fraud, and they're recognizing it's rules for thee and not for me. And so, just like what we've learned with certain governments that are hiring social media influencers and paying them lots of money through FARA registration paperwork that we're now all very familiar with. They have bots and trolls that are farms. I mean, we're talking thousands and thousands of farms of bots and trolls to go out there and attack. So when the government, as we now know, is in the crosshairs, particularly the agency government, they are feeling the heat. And I mean, I think MMTLP has brought the fire for so long, and they have singed the hairs up the noses of some of these dirtbags in the bureaucracy. That, of course,
right.
we know they're gonna send the trolls. That's just what happens. It is information war at its highest level, and it's not going away. It's not going away until we literally burn it all down, Rob. We've got to get back to the basics. And the sad fact is that MMTLP did absolutely nothing wrong. And it has been well documented by their own words that SEC colluded with Wall Street to ensure that all the Wall Street agencies and broker dealers that nakedly sold stock they didn't own of MMTLP, which, by the way, was never to trade. That was supposed to be a Series A dividend. It was just somebody from Wall Street called FINRA and said, hey, I want to trade this ticker. Sure, go ahead. Completely against the corporate action, the paperwork put forth by both CEOs that did that reverse merger and spun out MMTLP. So, I mean, all of this is just such nonsense. I'm wearing my dog tag right now, Rob. It's nonsense. And so they're fighting back hard because they're losing the information war. And so they're going to try and discourage you and disparage the MMTLP people who are good people. You know what? I tell the MMTLP people, just get vicious right back at them. Screw them. Who cares? They're garbage. Don't take this stuff. Tell them to shove it.
Well, they lied about me. That's why I said, well, wait a minute here.
Oh, they
Wait a
lie
minute.
about me all the time. Who
Yeah,
cares?
and that's when I started to recognize something was amiss because at first I'm like, okay, well, maybe I'm on the wrong side of this. Let me at least explore it just a little bit. And what I tell the people on the other side is everybody within MMTLP will have whatever they'll talk to me for 6 hours. John Berta came on my show, and I'm kind of known as somebody who will get down to the bottom of it if I understand what's going on. He came on the show, no strings attached, in when I was doing the radio show, and answered every question that I could think to ask him, and did it with a breeze. He did not seem concerned. He did not seem like he was lying. It's you just take a measure of somebody when they're sitting across looking you in the eye, and he seemed very credible to me. And then I go out onto social media and I watch these people that are fighting against the MMTLP people, and they're calling me a hack, that I'm using it for engagement to make money on X. And Isaiah is my producer. Are we making any money on X, Isaiah, that you're aware of? If there is, you better give it to me because I don't know what's going on.
Not yet.
I don't even know if we're trying to make money on X. I really don't even know what the situation
No,
is.
you have to get 5 million impressions in 3 months to monetize.
I don't,
you're on your way there.
Yeah, well, maybe someday. But that was never the point. The point was I look at things that are corrupt and I begin to ask questions, and it doesn't matter really what it is. We do local stories, we do national. But the way these people were attacking me, I'm like, look, I just want transparency. I don't understand the markets like Ann Vandersteel. I don't understand the market like Junk Savvy. I don't understand them. I just don't understand them that well. So you can come on and debate it. We can have a conversation. But even that, they were firing back at me. That's why I was wondering if it happened to you. Did you get pounded away just for supporting MMTLP? Did they come after you?
Oh yeah, I had several, but I was also warned about the usual suspects. And frankly, I don't care. I'm used to dealing with trolls. I find
Same.
it entertaining. Amy's asking, why did they get a QSIP and make it eligible to trade? Amy, my understanding is that the corporate action that was put forth by Torchlight and Metamaterials was that this was MMTLP was a Series A preferred share to be a placeholder, to be held, not to be traded. It said it right in their corporate action. I know Junk Savvy has talked about this ad nauseum, and somebody from Wall Street contacted FINRA. Well, Kathy Rumler, who is Obama's attorney, was on the board of FINRA at the time, and she's a dirtbag. She's from Goldman Sachs. While I know, I call them what they are. They're dirtbags. So, somebody from Wall Street wanted to make money, and we know that FINRA and the SEC aren't here to protect us. They're here to protect Wall Street, to make sure everybody makes money. Because remember, it's a revolving door. SEC worked on Wall Street. They went back to the SEC. They go back to Wall Street. It's just a revolving door, in and out, from industry to regulator and back. Never about the people. So anyway, they somehow got this stock ticker trading. It was never to trade. And the John Barta and George Palacaros called FINRA and said, what the hell is going on? It's not supposed to trade. And FINRA said, oops, it is now. Sorry. And they let it go. So that's just unconscionable. I mean, this is supposed to be some kind of highfalutin regulators. Give me a freaking break. They're just criminals, protecting criminals.
Well, that's what I say. They don't answer any questions. No, I was really going after, we had a caller, or a listener, I should say, from St. Louis get a hold of me. I was actually coming back from Mar-a-Lago. We went down there for a radio trip. We were coming back from Mar-a-Lago, and he calls me and he tells me the story. And I said, well, listen, it's a little complicated. Give me the information when I get back into town. And I said, so what's been going on? I had this conversation with him, and he goes, I've been trying to get to Ann Wagner. I said, well, I think we can get to Ann Wagner. We had relationships with people involved in her operation. So we got a hold. They said they would give us an answer right away. It gets to Ann Wagner, and we get a statement back that says it's under investigation and cannot make a statement. And I said, well, this is the way this seems to work. I mean, if you want to get public representation, right, because that's what Ann Wagner's supposed to do, is protect her constituents and ask questions and get to the bottom of it. They say it's under investigation, and then you don't even have a government to help you anymore. It's just like it just goes out into the abyss and nothing ever happens. And that's why I wonder, do you think that this Justice Department, or I don't know how this ever gets resolved. Do you have a sense of whether this can be resolved through the courts?
Well, can it get resolved through the courts? I guess that really depends if we actually get a judge who will side on the side of, who will be on the side of justice.
That's
My
sad.
hope is, and I've been open about this. I delivered a dossier to the Department of Justice on a lot of the criminality of what happened with MMTLP. And I believe we're going to be speaking with the Department of Justice about, various things that happened with MMTLP and the criminality in the not too distant future. Because, when you're looking at this holistically, everything that has happened to us, Rob, since the beginning of the Russian collusion when President Trump took office, all of those players are involved in the MMTLP fiasco. So, or should I say not all of them, some of them are, and they all connect. And again, it's always about money. It's always about fleecing America, everything they do. I did a show yesterday where I had Don Brown on. He ran for Senate in North Carolina, and we were talking about tariffs. Well, since the Supreme Court shot it down, the corporations that, paid the tariffs got refunded, but the consumers who bought the goods from the corporations who passed the tariff on to the consumer, now the corporation got the refund. Are we going to get it? No,
Right.
hell no. The corporations are making out. Don't worry about it. And this is exactly what is going on here. Corporations, Wall Street, anybody but you and me on Main Street. That's the name of the game. And it's tiresome, and Americans have woken up to this, and they're getting pissed, which is why they're asking these questions, which is why the agency government is fighting back with, everything they've got, including sending out their troll farms, because they know they're under a microscope. They know the spotlight's on them, and they know they've been exposed. Now it's going to be really up to, do we have good people in the DOJ who are going to do something about it and force the few members like Tim Burchett and maybe a few others, Tom Massey, to actually stand up and fight back.
Yeah, you're right on the same page with me and the same people. I like Tim Burchett and I like Thomas Massey.
Did you see Tim Burchett's interview about the underwater submersibles?
Yes.
That
What do you
was
think of that?
That was amazing.
Yeah.
Loved it.
It's crazy stuff going on in our world, is there not?
Well, you know what? Like, let me just say this. If a UFO landed in your backyard, you'd be like, wow, that's so cool. But would you be afraid of it at this point? Because, I mean, if they've been here this long, like these people are now telling us they've been here forever, which I believe, they haven't done anything.
You believe these things are true? Because I'm curious. I don't know the answer to that. I always tell my audience I don't know
believe that we have alien life form here. I mean, look at Congress.
Good point.
No, I do. I think we have other life form here. I mean, it's a massive universe out there, and I do believe it. I do believe it, and I think it's actually, if they were going to do harm to us, I think they would have done it already. So yeah. I think that possibly they could have stopped a few things. I mean, the fact that we haven't had a nuclear war with the nutbags that are running around out there is, to me, maybe it's because they intervened. I mean, they had UFOs flying over missile silos. Who knows? Who knows what's going on?
Yeah, it's very interesting. I can't wait to see this information really come out, so that it begins a public discussion. And if they give us any proof, like of these crafts that have landed where people can see them and observe them, and that would be a really interesting scenario for Americans. I'd like that to happen in my lifetime, if that's okay, Ann. I'd like to.
Well, what? It's already happened in my lifetime. My husband and I and our kids, and plus that we had there were 6 of us in the car, were driving home one day, and it was late summer, 6 o'clock at night, sun in the west, like just like low, not too low in the sky, but high enough that it was shining out east over the ocean where we were driving along parallel heading south. And I saw Tic Tac floating in the sky. And at first I thought it was a plane, and then I realized, no, it's not a plane, no wings, no windows. It was a Tic Tac, and giant white Tic Tac. And I went to get my cell phone to take a picture. My husband goes, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm going to take a picture." He goes, "No, you're not." And I looked up. We'd been watching it for about 45 seconds. And I looked up, and it was making sort of a dotted line dash in the sky. It was there, gone, like a dotted line, boom, headed south. I think it was in Miami in like 1 second. And so, and I live up in Palm Beach. So it was quite impressive. I'd never seen one of those before. I went and looked it up, and sure enough, that's the most commonly seen UFO. So me and the kids, we all saw it.
Wow. No kidding. Did you see Owen? You know who Owen Schroyer is from InfoWars?
Yeah.
Owen Schroyer said the same thing. He's driving through Austin, and he says he freaks out about it. He said, whatever's in the sky is close enough that you can almost see what it is. And it's just floating and moving, and it's not anything that I've ever seen before. And he was like freaked out about it, made this big to do. And then all of a sudden this information about UFOs became, kind of a public square conversation where everybody's starting to talk about it. Congress is starting to talk about it. I'm fascinated by it. We talk about it on this show as well. So we'll follow it.
This was almost 20 years. Rob, this is probably 17, 18 years ago.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Last question for you, because I appreciate your time. Last question. You sent me a video the other day, and you were talking about this video of the disappearing hat at the White House Correspondents' Dinner.
Yeah. So I did update that post because
what is your take on that?
Well, here's the thing. I didn't notice it had an AI stamp on it. So somebody had taken that video and enhanced it, which is interesting. For what I don't know, because it really didn't help. It added artifacts that were very distracting to the point that I saw this, 5 a.m. I was like, look at this. I must have looked at it for 45 minutes before I decided to create a little video, slow it down, and do everything I did to enhance it. But
there it is.
There it is. Yeah.
Yeah, we talked about it yesterday because, and I said it's AI generated.
See the hat? It looks like he's got a hat, right?
Yep. And then it goes away.
All of a sudden, it's gone. He has this weird hair.
Right.
So
if you look at the chart right there, he's got a sign. If you look at the shooter, can you rewind that back to the beginning, Isaiah? If you look right here, he's got a sign in the hallway. See it right there?
Yep.
Right?
I mean, there's a lot of weird things in this video.
And it disappears, but I had been told that it was AI. So we talked about it when we played this video that you put out the other day. And what's interesting to me is, and I'm just curious your opinion because you're a savvy, wise person. What do you think of the video in general? I mean, just because what Donald Trump
Well,
put
let
out
me
on
just say this.
social is all grainy. You can't even see it.
So, I mean, but somebody put this up and I echoed it. My Ring camera does a better job. For
Right.
$150, I have 4 Ring cameras all over my house that, that do a hell of a good job that I can see. I can see the whites of their eyeballs. So
Correct.
why do we have CCTV or any sort of security cameras in hotels where the president's going to be speaking that look like this? This is ridiculous.
Yeah, they've been at that whole hotel all the way back to the Reagan days. So you would think that
Hello?
either the federal government or the hotel itself would make sure that the security and the cameras were, up to par. And here we have a shooting where the only video is running through this grainy, crazy camera where you can't see anything. Anyway, I think that's why conspiracy theorists thrive in this environment, is because nothing seems to make any sense. Would you agree with that?
With that,
Oh, there you are. Say that one more time.
I said I would totally agree with that.
Yeah, I think that's what's going on. And Vandersteel, I think you are absolutely spectacular. I really appreciate you coming on. I will see you. I'm
likewise.
gonna get down there on May 23rd. We'll meet in person for the first time. I love your work. There are very few people, and I'm very critical of the media. Very critical. I think that's why I don't get on a lot of their shows. But I like what you do. I think that you're able to take very complicated issues and boil them down to where everybody can understand it, because you got to have the masses understand what's going on. I would consider myself that kind of person, to where you got to make it make sense to me. And I think you do a terrific job of it. I love your work, and thanks for coming on.
Oh, Rob, thank you so much. God bless you. I appreciate everything you're doing. Sorry, my internet crapped out. It is what
No
it
worries.
is.
No worries. We'll be in touch soon, and we'll make arrangements to see you on the 23rd.
Super. Thanks, Rob. Have a great day.
Thank you. Have a great day. And Vandersteel, everybody. I'm a fan of Vandersteel. What can I tell you? I talked to her on the phone one time for maybe 45 minutes, and you get into rhythms, and you just realize down to earth people, Isaiah, people that are kind of in it for the right reasons. And Ann Vandersteel strikes me as somebody who is in it for the right reasons. I think she's very much like we are here too. When I asked her about Donald Trump, she didn't want to say anything nasty about Donald Trump, because I think she still has a lot of faith in Donald Trump, as do many people have faith in Donald Trump. There was Donald Trump put something about Q. Did you see that this morning?
I did.
So he put something about Q.
pull
The
it up
storm
here.
is coming. Nobody can stop what is happening. Right. So it was the Q thing. And I'm not one of these people that dismisses Q. I just had a friend of mine who he said Rob, Q is a bunch of nonsense. And the reason it's a bunch of nonsense is it's an old strategy. And when your country is being overwhelmed with information and things that don't make any sense, people want an answer. And that is where you have these whisper campaigns, these internet campaigns of today. They'd be whisper campaigns back 100 years ago. And he said it originates out of China. It was called Operation Trust. And he goes, and that's what it is. He goes, and the reason it works is because, and I'm not saying this is true, I'm just giving you what he told me. He said the Operation Trust is the idea that things don't make any sense. You're going to fight for your country. You're going to organize when you think you're in peril. But if you think that there's a secret military operation going on, if you think there's something going on behind the scenes that makes sense of things that don't make sense, you'll never organize. And that's what they want. They do not want citizens organizing against what is coming down the road. And that's what Q was about. Now, I also have a lot of people that are very bright, very wise, and very smart who disagree. They think that Q played a pivotal role, not only in getting Trump elected, but in exposing all of this information that was out in the world so that we could discuss it. And that's what I say about Trump. Trump, we love him, hate him, it doesn't really matter. You got to peek behind the curtain. You finally got to peek behind the curtain as to how this whole world works. You were talking about the Fed now, right? We're talking about these open borders, which let me lead to that, because now that I said that, it reminds me of something I want to get to. Let's pivot away. Thank you, Ann Vandersteel, very much for coming on the show. I can't wait to meet you in
Lots
person.
of support for her. The MMTLP community was in here.
Well,
Going crazy for her.
I don't even like, to be honest with you, I find it, I love it. I love it, but I don't feel that I deserve it. I think Ann Vandersteel took the story and moved it into another level. Mine was just to allow everybody from MMTLP to have a voice. And once I realized that what they were looking for was transparency, I'm like, well, that's my whole game. That's where Robb Carter's at. Robb Carter wants to get transparency. I don't have to be right about every issue. You don't necessarily have to be wrong about every issue, but as a society, we have got to ask more questions. We've got to get people in positions of power to answer questions.
That's why I appreciate Amy here.
Amy's coming on. Amy's going to come on Monday.
Down,
Amy, you're going to get your shot. If you disagree with everything that's going on, you're going to get your shot on Monday. If you're an MMTLP supporter, if you're an MMTLP detractor, Monday at 10 o'clock, I've invited both on. We should have our new cameras by then. I'll be in a temporary.
Check this out.
I'll be in a temporary set, by the way. I'll be in a temporary set in Missouri on Monday. And then when we come back to Florida, probably, somewhere around 17th, I'm going to guess I'll be back in Florida. We will have our complete set with our new cameras. There you go. Thanks
to our donors, everyone.
That was a donor that sent in $2,000 because we mentioned we needed cameras. We got a check in the mail for $2,000 from one of our listeners. And now we're going to have the
donors. Lori donated $100 today. Donna donated $5, and Abs 10 donated $1. Said thanks to both of you. So
thank you, everybody.
Thanks for everyone so far.
Much, much, much appreciated. Let's go into I want to transition into another conversation. I'll finish by saying to the MMTLP people and the people that are on the other side of this argument, Monday, we're going to get down to the bottom of it. You'll have a chance to get your opinions out there, your perspectives on things. You can bring your information. I think Junk Savvy, she's kind of there's several, but I think she's the one I know the best. She goes by Junk Savvy, at Junk Savvy on X. She seems to be very aware of the situation. She can explain it from scoop to nuts. And then Amy on the other side is somebody that I don't know. But listen, if Amy's willing to come in, so long as we keep it relatively friendly, I think these people don't like each other very much.
I mean, the chat might be a little crazy, but I mean, from talking, I've been the one who's been coordinating with Amy in the DMs, and she seems very cordial and very. I'm excited to hear from her because it seems
I am too.
She believes her case, and I told her that in the messages. I said, I don't know much about this personally. I was introduced through you to this situation, and I have no dog in the fight. And so,
and that's the thing, because some MMTL people got mad at me. They're like, don't even give them a forum. And I say, listen, hang on, stop, wait, hang on, I'll pump the brakes for a minute.
Like
I get where you're coming from, but that's not what I'm doing, right? So I'm providing a forum so that you should be able to win this debate if you're right.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. That's the way I look at it. That's why I challenge everybody to a debate on things that I'm schooled in. I'll debate you all day long because I believe I'm right. And if I'm wrong, then I'm willing to admit that I'm wrong. Then I'm just somebody who learned something new, right? I don't look at debates as though there has to be a winner and a loser. Debates are there so that you can either win the argument, based on facts and evidence that you can bring to the table. But if not, everybody that's viewing it gets to learn what's happening. They get to make their own opinion. That's what you're going to want. You're going to want to win the argument and have more and more people see it, cut it up, and expand your operation. Because if MMTLP is to win, she said it. She goes, if you get the right judge, when Ann Vandersteel was asked about, can you win this through the courts? She said, well, if you can get the proper judge. I think she's probably right.
Yeah.
I think that tact is.
So far, the evidence for me is to support the MMTLP.
Me too. That's where I'm at right now.
That's why I'm just interested to see, because you and I were very similar. We like to see
I want it to be fair.
Yeah, we like to be fair. Yeah.
I want it to be fair. And and I shouldn't even paint the people that are detractors all with the same brush. There's a few people that are constantly coming at me, and they're trying to ridicule me and humiliate me and call me a liar and a fraudster and all this stuff. I have people go, you should file a suit against them. I just don't care. I really don't. I don't care. I think people that pay attention to my show know that I'm doing the best I can with the information that I have, and you're always welcome to refute it if you'd like. So that's it. Just for that conversation, Monday at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time, you're going to have Amy, who goes by That Girl Trader or Girl Trader or something on X, I don't know, against Junk Savvy. And you guys can, if you guys want to have some other form of arrangement where you have 2 people versus 2, if you want to make sure that you can show your documents on the screen, whatever you want to have go down, just remember to email me, right? Or email Isaiah and I. And can you put it on the screen at therobbshowhost@gmail.com. Just email us what you'd like to have happen. I want it to be fair. I must admit there is a little bit of bias because I happen to like at Junk Savvy. I happen to love what MMTLP is doing. I think the push and the relentlessness to get justice is something that just warms my heart. I like people like that. I like people that stick together, because I think there were 65,000 investors, but there's probably, I'm guessing just by the way this is going down, 500 to 1,000 people that said, until my last dying breath, I'm going to find out what happened with my money. And I like that. I like that kind of spirit. I'm that way.
That's what I've heard from any of the X spaces that I've been in with Junk Savvy. That seems to be the case that they're pleading. Very intelligent person listening to her as well.
Very smart.
Yeah.
Very smart. She's a very intelligent person. So we'll hash it out Monday at 10 a.m. right here. If you want to have 2 people on each side, because some people get nervous, in those situations, and they don't perform well just because they're a little bit nervous. If that's the case, you can have 2 people. That's Amy and Junk. If you want to have 2 separate people, that's fine. We'll make sure that we can show your documentation up on the screen, and then you'll have it. We'll have all the information out there in the public square. We'll have all of the influencers, like Kristen Shaughnessy is going to come on before too terribly long. If there's an influencer on the other side, you can chop that up. You can send it out into the world. And the more people talking about it, the better off you're going to be if you're on the right side of the argument. Fair enough? Isaiah? I think that's fair
A
enough.
Payton 68 just said, it's a subscriber, so I just want to read the chat.
Yep.
Once the name calling starts, they lose all credibility with me. And that's my problem with both sides.
Yeah. They do hate, they don't like each other.
Yeah.
They do not like each other, and they get pretty.
It's just personal stuff, and
I
get it. You know, I'm on Twitter. I get it. You know,
I understand it too. That's why I don't really get mad at either side or try to dismiss them for being that angry. But the name calling flies around on both sides pretty heavy because they don't like each other. I think they're in some form of a. It almost feels like a financial yet spiritual war against one another.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? These people spiritually don't like each other. I'll leave it there because I want to move on to some other things. In fact, I'm going to do because this is our last day before we really start with our advertisers. Let's just continue on because I want to keep this baby flowing. Can we get to clip number 1? And if your MMTLP people are here and you stuck around for the rest of the show, I'd love to get your opinion. We're going to answer questions at 11. What time? We got 12 more minutes. We'll have Act from Missouri on at 11 o'clock Central Standard Time. Around 11:30, we'll answer questions. So if you have MMTLP questions, if you have questions about anything we've said today, moving forward, we're going to spend some time at the end of the show just answering questions. If you want to attack me, we'll play your attacks. If you want to discuss something or if you have a question, we're going to read them and we'll spend time answering your questions right around 11:30 Central Standard Time. But I want to go to this clip from Tucker and I want to explain where it's coming from because I don't think many people know this. If you listen to my radio show back in the day, you would know all about it. But if you didn't, this may be new information to you. And I just want to get people's opinion on it. It's clip number 1. It's Tucker Carlson talking about the people involved with open borders. Okay. Because everybody thinks it is different than what I think it actually is. So clip number 1, if you don't mind.
It was fake. She left. We thought it'd be worth asking her, what is going on here? Ladies and gentlemen, Marjorie Taylor Greene. Congressman, thanks a lot for joining us. So you pretty recently served in the U.S. House, so maybe you can answer this question. Why is it that so many of the members of Congress who support this war, who supported the Iraq war, who support every pointless, counterproductive foreign entanglement, are also the very same people who were trying to force Americans to take the COVID shot, who voted to put spyware in people's cars, who are for the castration of children, who ignore the opioid crisis, and who are for mass migration? Why would neocon politics bring you to a place where you support all of these other things that are not connected to foreign policy, but that are also bad for the population of this country? Like, what's the connector?
Well, the obvious first response, any person with common sense would say, I have no idea why they would ever do that, right?
Fair.
And then secondly, I think the question is, why do Americans keep voting for these people? And yes. I think the responsibility falls on the voters to get rid of them. But I'll tell you why they keep voting for those things, Tucker. Having served in Congress for 5 years, what I learned from the inside is there are very powerful industries and their lobby, they're very powerful lobbyists, and the financial donations and structures that are built behind them is what entangles these politicians into supporting things that are unimaginable, things that Americans do not vote for. Like you said, gender affirming care, transing children, requiring cars to have AI, big tech technology in them where they won't start if the AI deems that you're not capable of driving. The list goes on and on. Voting for FISA 702 without warrants, warrantless spying on Americans. That's actually happening. I think they're having a vote right now on the House floor on the rule to move forward to do that. You can't answer. It doesn't make sense why they support these things, but I can tell you that it has a lot to do with the power structure in Washington, D.C., and it supports both Republicans and Democrats.
Okay. Now, as it applies to the border and applies to all of the surveillance, right? Because the argument coming out of Washington, D.C. is the surveillance is necessary because we have so many people here illegally. That is the ultimate underlying theme of why we need surveillance in our country. This is why you need real ID, right? This is they're beginning to put in a surveillance system, and then you'd ask, well, how did the surveillance system start? Can you look up HIAS, HIAS, and we can put that on the screen? Because HIAS is an immigration organization. And wait till you see how this whole thing rolls with HIAS, okay? Alejandro Mayorkas was the one that was running the border under the Biden administration. He was impeached by the Republican House of Representatives, and then they sent it over to the Senate to Chuck Schumer, and Chuck Schumer would not take up the trial. Okay. And I guess, I don't know how that's constitutional, but apparently they make up the Constitution as they go. If Chuck Schumer doesn't want to take up the trial in the Senate, then I guess they just don't have to. But what is HIAS? Can you give the acronym there? Can you figure out what the acronym is?
I think it's the Hebrew immigration something, if I am
it's Hebrew immigration for sure.
Yeah.
So now the board of HIAS, when Alejandro Mayorkas was picked, they gave him a shout out and they said, congratulations to Alejandro Mayorkas, who is a Cuban Jewish person. They leave the borders wide open. Now, if you will contemplate the idea that both of these parties are on the same game and they just create a scenario that the other person has to fix. If the idea is power and control, which is what we were talking about with the Clarity Act and the Genius Act, let's just take this into consideration. Under the Biden administration, they hire somebody to control the borders who doesn't control the borders. Not only do they not control the borders, they're waving people in across our southern border by the millions, and then American taxpayers have to pay for it. So as these people are coming in, and I don't really have any problem with people trying to get to the United States. I'm not mad at the people. I'm mad at the government because they are constitutionally obligated to stopping mass immigration into our country because invasions are not, they are supposed to they're supposed to close the borders to invasion. That's a federal law. Okay. So here you have a situation where you have the Hebrew Immigration Society. What is it? Hebrew
Immigration Aid Society.
Hebrew Immigration.
That was the original name they said. I guess they rebranded to HIAS to hide the intent of what it originally was.
Right. The Hebrew Immigration Aid Society, ran by a Cuban Jewish man by the name of Alejandro Mayorkas, who opened up our borders, waved them in. We spent money to put them in hotels and to fly them around, to give them phones, everything. This all comes under the watchful eye of Alejandro Mayorkas, and nobody seems to understand it. And you go, well, Rob, how does that all tie together with everything that we're talking about with the surveillance? You allow these people in under a Democrat organization, Democrat administration, I mean. So you allow the people in under a Democrat administration, and then as soon as Donald Trump takes the reins, now we got to fix the problem that the Biden administration stopped. And how do they fix the problem that was caused by our own government? They just happen to be wearing blue under the Biden administration. How do you solve it? Well, you solve it by restricting liberties, by mass surveillance, by watching everything that you do. Do I have to remind everybody what we're doing now? FISA 702 warrants, warrantless searches, flock cameras. We've talked about that endlessly. Flock cameras that are going to, every move you make in public, they're going to be able to see it, right? So they're going to be able to track your car from A to Z. And you may say, well, Rob, it's public and we should be able to watch people in public. No. We're not talking about watching. We're talking about stalking, like a girlfriend when you that doesn't want to let go. One of those. And they're going to watch every move that you make. They're going to take you from wherever you go. If you go to the grocery store, they're going to find you. If you're going to the laundromat, they're going to find you. If you're going to your grandma's house, they're going to find you. Not only are they going to surveil every move that you make with these flock cameras, they're going to store that information. So if they say, Rob, what did you do January 3rd, 2022? We think you were up to no good. And you go, I can't remember back to January 3rd. They're going to tell you where you went on January 3rd because they're going to have that information stored. Now they want AI data centers that the entire Republican establishment is pushing down your throat, despite the fact nobody wanting them, right? 500. And who gave them the money for Stargate? Is Sam Altman and Larry Ellison? Do you understand where they're coming from? Do we all understand that? So you got Alejandro Mayorkas opening up the borders, and then Donald Trump getting in bed with Sam Altman and Larry Ellison. And do we know what, do they have anything in common that you could recognize, Isaiah?
I think they're both Jewish.
Yeah, and they're Zionists. Forget Jewish. They're Zionists, right? So when people get frustrated with the situation between the United States and Israel, there's a reason. These things are right out in the open. HIAS and allowing the borders to be wide open is the precursor to mass surveillance, because all these people in here illegally, now we have to surveil all of our American citizens because our government allowed millions of people to come here illegally that might want to do us harm. And that's the reality of the situation. And that's why I think that they work hand in hand. And who are they working for? They might be working for Zionist donors.
Oh, definitely. That was the original. So the original history of this organization is to bring Jews from Eastern Europe to America. And that was the goal. If you go back to Theodor Herzl in the 1800s in the World Zionist Organization, that was a big goal, is to get the Jewish people out of Eastern Europe, because that's when the persecution started intensifying, right?
Yeah.
There was people are starting to kind of not like the Jewish people because they weren't citizens, and all these arguments that we've heard. And you've read all the books too, Rob, so
Yep.
But it's just interesting that that's the history of this organization, and now they're the ones who are opening the borders wide open to illegal immigrants. It's just it just plays into it just helps the conspiracy theorists. You know what I mean? That want to say that the Jews run the world.
It seems to be real. Yeah, well, it's not even a conspiracy that Jews run the world, but Zionist philosophy runs the world, right? So I think, I could, there's Torah Jews on X. Have you ever watched the @Torah Jews?
Mm-mm.
They completely disagree. And there's millions of
Orthodox Hasidic
guys.
Not
millions of them, but millions of people that follow what they're doing. And they basically say that we're not in line with what Israel's doing. We do not think they're doing the right thing. We are the real Jews. These people that are running the state of Israel are not real Jews. They're Eastern Europeans who use the Jewish race for political power, money, and the like. And look, I don't know what's real or not. All I know is what I just told you about Hayes and Alejandro Mayorkas and what is happening right now. You can connect those dots and make it pretty simple, right? I just don't think that's a hard concept to understand. We allow 30 million people in here illegally. That's unconstitutional. The federal government is required to patrol our borders and stop invasion, right? I would think 30 people in here in a guerrilla war or a terror war, which is what we defined it as, that would be an invasion. And we paid for it, and we allowed it, and we supported it. And all these people are here now. And you can't be mad at them for wanting to come to America. Come into America. Little Neil Diamond for everybody, right? Come into America. Right, you know what I'm saying?
Oh,
but
yeah.
Now the government, in order to fix a problem that they allowed to happen, they're going to restrict your civil liberties, and they're going to spy on you every move you make. Little police for you, right? I got them all. I'll sing the songs all day long. All right, now I got to get to this. Let me spin off into another situation here. This is clip number 2. This will take just a little bit because I want to play this out for you. Now, what happened after the White House correspondents shooting, the White House Correspondents' Dinner and the shooting? What happened in that situation? Are we 12? I'm not going to get into that. Let me start over. Let me just tell that story very fast, and we'll play a clip later because we got Act 4 Missouri getting ready to come on. There's a citizen journalist who did some digging, and I wanted to do it live with you because I just saw it this morning. And she says that Donald Trump has been saying that they're not, the Trump administration is getting private donations for the ballroom. She says the private donation and the people building the ballroom have the people that are building it also have a no bid contract for some fountains that the original estimate was $3 million, and they have now a no bid contract for $17 million. You understand what I'm saying? So they're basically saying that this they're redirecting money. They're getting private donation, and then the people that are given the private donations are now getting no bid contracts in other situations in Washington D.C. where they can make a boatload of money. And she says it's illegal, but they're doing it anyway because nobody's going to hold them accountable, which I think is relatively obvious. All right, let's get to some Missouri politics. We know of a lot of Missouri political fans that like to listen to the show. Act 4 Missouri, Michael Compton and Amy Castro. They're going to tell us about, I think we're going to start with Senate Bill 888. I saw you guys put out that they expanded it just a little bit. Amy, Mike, welcome to the show. How are you guys?
Morning.
Good morning, Rob. Yeah,
people around the country, they want to hear about what's going on in Missouri, because I like to say to people that are joining in from around the country, what's happening in Missouri, what's happening in Florida is happening in every single state. So I'm going to call it Missouri politics, but whatever state you're in, this is what's going on in your particular state, should you decide you want to pay attention to it. What happened with the Senate Bill 888? Was that Strower's bill for?
Yeah. So I'll just set the groundwork and we can build a discussion.
Act4mo.org, everybody. If you want to donate, again, the people that are trying to get the truth out and the people that get pounded away by the politics and the politicians and the people that support them and these offshoot grassroots organizations that are in bed with them, they try to destroy our reputations. They try to make us out to be crazy lunatics, but we're the ones that actually, you guys are the ones that go down to Jefferson City, explain the bills, explain the process, look for transparency, and we're the bad guys. Continue on.
All right.
Thanks, Rob.
You got it.
Senate Bill 888 was passed very quickly a few weeks ago and rushed to the governor's desk, and he signed it. Then they discovered they had a major typo in it. That basically what happened, and that bill, part of what that bill was it changed sentencing guidelines, and it had an end date for the old rules and a start date for the new rules, but there was this gap in it. So, I know the Dems have been putting out about child molesters not being sentenced in this time frame. So anyway, this gap meant that they absolutely had to go back and fix this bill, and nobody caught it. It went all the way through. The governor signed it into law. So everybody up there on both chambers now knows this has to get fixed. It has to get fixed quickly. So they pulled up a House bill that was going through that was on a related subject, and that was House Bill 2637. And they decided to use that as the vehicle to go and get this fixed. So that's been moving through this week, and it has now passed both chambers. But what happens is when everybody realizes this bill has to get passed, they're all like, well, I've got a bill that's going nowhere this session. If I can get it on an amendment on this bill, I know it's going through. So it's the original bill was already bad enough. 888 was about a 90-page bill. And this bill, when it passed yesterday, was 377 pages. And if anybody wants to go look up Brian Wolfen's feed, he posted his video of him on the House floor. We were there yesterday cheering him on, and he got up and, of course, attacked it for being multi-subject. The title's changed 4 times on this bill now. There's all kinds of constitutional problems with this bill. And he suggested that, hey, everybody should take their 5 minutes and we'll read through the whole 377 pages. And he said, I ran it through AI. It'll only take us 11 hours to do it.
Ain't that something?
Yeah.
It's just amazing. And they don't think anything of it, right? They'll attack you for noticing.
Yeah.
Yep. No.
I mean, and you should see this stack of paper. I mean, it's 3. Everybody gets a copy.
Wolfen actually printed it out and brought it on the floor to hold it up so everybody could see.
So you went from a 90-page bill that passed. You had 287 pages to it, so it's a 377-page bill, and they vote on it probably without ever reading it. And I would assume there's a lot of goodies in there for some people. I just know how these bills work. There's going to be a lot of money in there for whatever they want to spend it on. And it's our money, and it's a Republican Party that is supposed to be small government and transparent. And I just don't know how they continue to get away with it, and why they get such support in the state of Missouri. I don't want to vote for Democrats necessarily because I'm a libertarian conservative, but I could certainly understand why people would move to the party based on what's happening.
Well, I'll tell you, there was one more thing that they didn't change in this bill that we and Lisa Panette was actually testifying to get changed. And if you might remember this because Representative Michael Davis, who is an attorney, also agreed. And it was just a simple 1-line thing that we wanted to get changed. That would just the line that he wanted to get added, that Lisa wanted to get added, and that we put out to get added to this was this amendment shall simply clarifies the law stating that vaccination status alone shall not be sufficient to prove a person has committed an offense of endangering the welfare of a child.
So that was added in?
That was not added in.
It was not added in.
Mike Moon tried to add that amendment in, and sure, no way. And I mean,
why? What is going on with that?
That's what raises all of our alarms is why are they, because they tell us, oh, we don't need to do it because it'll never happen, blah, blah, blah. Well, it doesn't change anything else in the bill. It's just a simple line of protection. But they absolutely refuse to do it, which makes my alarm bells go off. Okay, there's something with this section that they do want to use later on, because we've learned that these bills that they pass this year, they build on next year and the year after. And it's a gradual progression down the line to tyranny eventually.
Yeah, well, this is an odd situation because Lisa Panette was on the show when I was on the radio show. She was the first one that brought it to my attention. Yep. She said it's a really good bill, except it has some language in there that opens the door to where potentially you could be prosecuted under the health, whatever the moniker is within the bill, for not getting your children vaccinated, because they could say that's a danger to health, you're a danger to your child, therefore you could be prosecuted for not getting your children vaccinated. Say we have another COVID breakout or whatever they got going on in the future. And she said they just need to clean up that language. And then I forget who we had on. We had somebody on, Michael
Davis.
Michael Davis, because he pushed back on it.
He is an attorney, and he went to Lisa because Lisa is the one that found this in the bill originally. And he said, I think you're right. And so he had it coming before a committee that he was in on the House, and it already passed the Senate. And it ended up he tried to get the language in and it failed. And one of the excuses they used in the committee was, well, we need to get this bill to the governor's desk. And if we make this change, then it has to go back to the Senate.
That was the argument.
But maybe if they had listened to Michael Davis, they might have caught this error and not had to go through this whole process, because that speeding along is what resulted in this major error that got us in the mess we're at right now.
Rushing it through. So I got to figure out Nick, because I think you guys know I worked with Nick. I mean, Nick he's always been good to me. I know that a lot of people have problems with Nick, but what was his reasoning? It just doesn't seem like that would make any sense the way I understand Nick. He
just felt, well, what he was telling everybody, and I'm paraphrasing, I won't try to speak for him, but basically was that it's not necessary, that nobody's ever been charged on this. And Lisa's point is a valid one. Well, that doesn't mean that you're not going to have some prosecutor at some point that wants to use this, especially now in his new bill, which makes the sentencing guidelines much stricter. So, and to me, why not make the simple fix? It's not, I mean, especially when you look at all the things they've added.
You could add a line in there, one line, and just
one line. That's the line I read to you was the line they wanted added, and that seems to me.
Yeah, it feels to me sometimes that we get blamed, and we get blamed sometimes for being irrational, that we're causing problems. I'm like, well, just shut us up. If you put the line in there, then we go, hey, they put the line in there. Really appreciate it. You did something kind of helped us out a little bit. That was really nice.
There's that to me, that line is protecting our rights and liberties. And that's what they're supposed to be doing.
But it has to do with public safety, right? So we know the governor ran on that. He promised that.
Yep.
Nick is making sure that the governor's promises are kept.
Right.
This needed to get through. So it's going through. Nick's got something ahead of him, I'm sure.
Yeah.
This is, you've got it right, Rob, when you say, this is a much bigger strategic kind of maneuvering. And that's, I guess, kind of what we're trying to figure out, right? Why not add the line? Because there's nothing malicious about that line. It's perfect. It protects our rights. I just think this bill needed to get through. The governor needs it. He's getting creamed on the income tax thing, right?
How is that playing? I was going to ask you about that. Let's do two things before we get to the income tax. Okay. So this morning, and I don't know if she's responded yet. So I had this lady on my show once before, Camilla. Do you know who I'm talking about from American Prosperity? Camilla Peterson.
She was on Palmer.
She was on my show once before. I didn't get to meet her in person. It was remote, and she came on the show. Americans for Prosperity, the Koch organization, and she's out there, and they're kind of. Let me see. I don't know why that background feed is coming in. I don't know if you guys can hear that, but let me see if I can find her. Here it is. She says, and she's responding to Tim Jones, right, from former Speaker of the House, Tim Jones. I think he's kind of a leader of the Freedom Caucus in Missouri. I think he's still involved with that, if I'm not mistaken.
He's more don't get me started.
He's the leader, right?
Yeah. Oh, yes.
So
hugely. Yes. Huge.
Yeah. He's the guy. So he comes out, and I worked with him. And again, these are not people I have personal beefs with. I just disagree on this vehemently. And it says the report clearly shows that foreign leftist billionaires and communist China want to fully control America's AI and tech future. Anyone who claims to be on the right, who parrots their talking points, is nothing more than a useful idiot. Okay. And then Camilla, at Rare Camilla, and it's at RareCamella. She responds to that. She says, a Missouri leftist who calls herself a conservative has been going after me and my org with made up claims about data centers for the last week, obsessively posting about it, and thus creating a need for more data centers. We've always wondered who funds her. And the implication is there that, people like me, people like you, people that are pushing back against the AI data centers, that we're somehow leftists or that we are useful idiots. So I responded to her and said, okay, why don't we have a public conversation about this? I really believe in public conversation. And if you guys believe that these, and I'm not even, she may, if you believe that these AI data centers are important for the people of Missouri, that it's going to be a net positive for the people of Missouri, Can we have a public discussion? Public debate doesn't have to be me. It could be somebody who's against it. Doesn't have to be you. It could be somebody from your organization. It could be somebody in the Republican Party. Can we begin to have a public conversation, old school, like where people organized and said, hey, we're going to have an event tonight. We're going to talk about what's going on. If you're for AI data centers, you sit on this side. If you're against them, sit on this side. And let's just hash it out like Americans used to do, without hating Tim Jones or hating Camilla or hating anybody, but have a public conversation. I'll be curious to see if they want to do that. Because again, I say, if you're pushing that hard and you really believe in these things and this really matters to you, if this is something that's an emotional thing for you, then get out and have this conversation with us. And if it's not, then I have to believe that you're shilling. You're somehow, some way, indirectly, you're either getting power or money out of pushing these things. And then it becomes clearly evident when you don't want to have a conversation that that's what it's all about. You're just a mouthpiece that can sit on a radio show or a podcast or send out your stuff on social media, but you'll never really have a conversation where we get down to brass tacks. And that's what I want to see if they do. Is that fair? Do you guys think that's fair?
Yeah, I mean, it's a predetermined plan, right? We've all gotten together with certain people and we've laid it all out. These are our things we're going to move. These are our talking points. This is how we're going to do it. It's all a huge strategy, right? And there's nothing wrong with that, right? That's what people do.
Exactly. I don't mind.
For the first time in history, since like I said, I'm going to take us back to state convention, the people actually got engaged and got involved, and it threw them off the mark because they were like, what the hell's happening? Like normally they're just do their little deal. It's very quick. Everybody agrees. Nobody pushes back. This is new for them. It's new for us. And everybody's wondering, well, like my shirt says, what in the MK Ultra is going on? I mean, it's like, seriously.
I got to have that one. I gotta have that. I'll go 20. I'll go $25 on that one.
I'm like, what is going on? I mean, it just seems so simple, right? We just talked about it. What's so hard about adding in a line that protects us? Yet the resistance was so strong and so just aggressive. And now we got all these attacks like we saw. I mean, over the weekend, it's just we're these pseudo conservatives and we've got a leftist agenda and we're being funded. I have to laugh. Everything we've done has been our money, our time.
Yeah.
I mean,
your energy and your frustration.
Energy, I cannot. Yeah. Oh, don't even get me started.
I know. Trust me. I know how it is. Isaiah poor Isaiah. Isaiah's working for free right now. We'll take care of Isaiah, but he's working for free, and he's like, we talk all day, every day, trying to get prepared for the show and get information out to people. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. Okay.
It's a lot of work.
What do you think about this tax bill? How is this starting to play out? Because I guess the argument that I have, and I try to get Bishop Davidson on, I don't know that he's going to come on or not. He hasn't responded to me just yet. I think when he thought I was on the radio station, he was willing to have it. But now that he thinks he doesn't, now I'm guessing this is what's going on.
I don't know.
Because he didn't respond to me. But I said, come on, because if you believe that this is a good bill, if you believe this is not going to raise the taxes or that we're, I think unnecessarily asking for the Hancock Amendment to be opened up for 5 years. These things make me a little bit nervous. If there are guardrails, bring the paper. Let's see it in the language. Let's make sure there's no holes that you guys can crawl through in a future Congress, right? And let's really dissect this bill so that the people that have trust issues with the Republican Party and the establishment in Missouri, let's calm them down and let's make sure that we all have our information correctly here. And then I didn't hear back. So what is the mood of the Missouri voter? Do they trust the Republican Party to get rid of income taxes? I mean, what are your circles beginning to say about it?
Amy's been following the social media posts.
Okay. We just talked about an error, a rushed bill that led to a huge error that then led to an omnibus bill. So what makes people think that that's not going to happen when they have the 5 years to make additional bills for us? Because that's what they're going to do. It's 5 years of them maneuvering, and I'm going to say maneuvering because the system is broken. I keep saying that over and over and over. And
I agree.
And I think that's the biggest division in the grassroots. There are grassroots groups that feel that the system isn't broken. We just need to put good people in there. Then there's other grassroots groups that are like, no, the system's flawed. And what's happening is we're putting good people in a bad system.
That's me. That's where I'm coming at.
That's where we're at. And I think if for people listening, I know it's confusing because you're like, I don't know which grassroots to believe. All you have to do is look at it through that lens. Ask them, do you believe the system is functioning to the best of its ability? And we just need to put good people in there. Or do you think the system is flawed and we need to get some things fixed? Because the people that believe the system is good are going to align with the Republican talking points. Because
Correct.
GOP does not want to acknowledge that we've got some major problems. we as conservatives want our Republican Party back. It has been slowly moving off the conservative line more towards the middle. That's why they don't want the platform, and that's why we're fighting about life issues and all this stuff, because they have removed. I mean, people want a conservative Republican Party, but I think on the bigger agenda, it is better for them to move more to the middle.
I think they think that's where the public is at. Like we were talking about abortion the other day. And,
maybe.
Yeah. I think, when you talk about abortion, we had Kate Sickles I had on the show. She's very pro A3, as is Adam Schnelting, and a lot of people are on that side of the fence. A lot of people that I really like and care for, and I hope they have great lives, and I think they're wonderful. And I said, well, I don't want to debate the issue with you. If you think A3 is the right legislation and you think that's the best that we can do, and that's the best that's going to give us a chance to limit abortion, right? If that's where you're coming from the right, and that's what you believe, that's fine. I said, but can you at least admit that if you want total abortion, if that's what you're telling people you want, the Republican Party already had it, and they had supermajorities, and all they had to do was pass IP reform? You mean you had everything that you needed? If that's a real big issue that you're going to raise money on, you already had it. It's like the argument for curing cancer that I always tell people. I said, listen, there's a lot of people that think there are cures for cancer, but there's more money in the treatment. And I said the same thing here with this. This is exactly how it looks. And Lisa said, Rob, this is not only do I think that's true, I know that that's true. And she gave me some examples, but that's fraud. That's fraud. That's basically tricking citizens into a situation where they think they're electing people that are anti-abortion, when really they're just they're electing people that want to use the abortion issue to raise money. Right. And that frustrates me. And I think that's clear just by the way it all played out. The Republicans, if they're anti-abortion, if they're pro-life, they had abortion abolished in the state of Missouri with supermajorities and sabotaged their own legislation. It went to the bill. Out-of-state money came in. They flipped it over because they couldn't get IP reform passed. And then everybody just acts like it never happened.
But I think you're right. I think maybe they do think the majority of the people are in this ambiguous middle. But I'm going to argue that that's not the case. I think as the left has gotten crazier, a lot of us have been like, no, let's go back to our principles and our values. And these are a lot of constitutionalists that are like, let's get we the people in more control. Our government is out of control. I mean, there's this impression that the grassroots went to convention because it was all about Trump. I disagree with that. Yes, Trump was part of it, but a lot of us went because we're like, what the hell is going on with the country? We just went through this terrible thing with COVID. People got engaged. They started asking questions. And my gosh, do they not like to hear those questions? They don't know what to do with it. They've never gotten this much pushback. And now we're getting this intensity that you see, right?
Yeah.
And it's starting to get, then it gets personal, right?
Yeah. Well, that's what I said, when people make fun of me, and they do often, about the pressure campaign, they go like, what do you mean a pressure campaign? I said, it's a pressure campaign. I said, at some point, your voices, more and more people hear me, right? More and more people hear you. More people hear Lisa. More people hear Stacy. And they, and all of these people that are speaking out going, wait a minute, something's amiss here. Yeah. Is this a Republican Party that is for smaller government, lower taxes, secure streets, anti-abortion, conservative values? Are they for that or not? Because if they're not, you just need to tell us. So that we understand.
We can move on.
Tell us what you're thinking, but don't raise money on the idea that these are the things that you believe in and then never get to accomplish them and then talk about how bad the Democrats are. I'm like, well, you don't even need the Democrats. They're completely irrelevant in the state of Missouri. There's nothing, they don't exist really. Only in your imagination is where they exist.
Well, the Democrats have no power. The only power they get is the power that the Republicans actually hand over to them. And,
hand over to them. I mean, Cindy often handed them the PQ power.
Yeah. She definitely changing it from 11 votes needed to 18 votes needed. Basically told the Democrats, hey, all we have to do is make a little bit of a threat that we're going to filibuster, and Cindy will give us something that we want. And that's kind of how this session's gone on that side. The other thing that the Republicans have been doing, though, they think we need to remember that they do have the supermajority in both chambers and the governor, because they keep telling us, well, this is the best we can do. A3 is the best we can do on abortion. A4 is the best we can do on IP reform, which basically, that's taking that's shifting too far the wrong direction, where the people will no longer have a reasonable ability to ever change the Constitution themselves. It'll always have to go through the General Assembly. That's another example. And I keep just going back to, and the one way you can shut them up a lot of times when you're debating them online and in person is you have a super majority, and this is the best that you guys can do.
Right. That goes back to the system is broken, right? Because if you go through these Republican systems, these committee meetings and these kind of things, and central committees, if you will, they all say they want the Republican agenda to be passed. And yet they continue to put people and support people that get into positions of power in our government that don't follow through on any of it. So I'm like, well, are you vetting these people? Because if you're not vetting them, maybe we need a better vetting system. Maybe we need more people involved in the system, because if you're telling us this is the best you can do with a super majority of Republicans that believe in smaller government and, certain things, then it's a system issue. It's not a personnel issue. It has to be a system issue, because you're putting these people into this is what you're producing. Your system is producing things that we don't even want as conservatives.
So, and to that point, so we were just in Marshall County. We're at their Lincoln Days. It's great. They kind of annoy me because I think I know too much behind the curtains, right? So the candidates get up there and they're so enthusiastic about the changes that they're going to make. And they tell the people, I'm going to get this done and I'm going to get that done. And all our hopeful conservatives and Republicans, they clap. They're so excited. This is the person that's going to get it done. And the truth is, they're not going to get crap done, because if they don't play the game, they're not going to get, it's pay to play. They're not going to get in. And so then it makes them look like they lied on the campaign trail, which I don't necessarily think is true.
Agreed.
They don't understand they're going to get eaten alive, because whoever the establishment has selected for the candidate that's going to be anointed, that's the one that's going to get a chance. But even if that one doesn't play right, they're not going to get anything done. So it goes back to like what Wolfen said. If you think your interests are being represented there, you are wrong. It is corporations and lobbyists. And you said it early in the show, people better stand now and get involved. And I'm telling you, get your priorities straight. Get your household in order. If you want this country, you need to set aside the TV time and the endless scrolling and get engaged at some level. It's city council, school boards. To me, it doesn't matter. Just start learning, because they're running wild.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm getting revved
Maybe
up.
that's what happened to me.
I'm so frustrated.
That's how I get. See, you're gonna get shut down.
I know I'm gonna get shut down. I mean, when I get up there and I want to see those guys, I want to be just like, what in the, and they give the dumbest excuses. Like, we pointed out the omnibus page, and we were told there's a lot of redactions in there.
But what about the Chiefs and the Royals? We talked when I was at Real Talk Radio. We talked about that bill being multi-subject and was not going to pass muster for months, and had people come on and argue with us, tell us we were wrong.
We've actually heard
the Royals, and then we were right, and then they act like it never happened.
We've actually heard senators and House members on the floor when they're debating this, and it's brought up, hey, this is multi-subject. We might be in trouble if we pass this, and somebody will get up and say, well, we might be, but what are the chances of somebody actually taking us to court on it? And we could still win it in court, or we've also heard
leave it to the courts
for the judges to decide.
Yeah.
We just pass the bills. They're the ones that decide if
it's
they're
nutty.
Yeah,
it's a crazy position. I got to ask you another thing, because I want to remind every time you guys come on about the Democrats voting in a higher percentage for Republican bills than the Republicans themselves. Just explain that really quickly, because I think that's the one that blew my mind when you told me about that on the show, and then you gave me the evidence. I'm like, wow, that is so crazy.
So the premise, I'm going to stay with the premise, because we talk in inner circles. We talk a lot about it's a uniparty, right? And everybody kind of goes, I think it's a uniparty, and we're like, yeah. I told Mike, I said, if that's the claim, if that's the buzz amongst the people, then the evidence should show it, right? We just have to find it. Mike, being the data guy that he is, like, okay, let's put these bills in and let's filter them out and let's see the voting record. And the results proved that.
Yeah. So on our webpage, last year we did this after the session. This year we're doing it in real time. So you can go to our webpage under our tools, and I'll throw up a link later on the chat for people to go
looks like
to it
you guys
directly.
already got it up.
Yep, there you go. Go to Legislative Money Tracker.
Ooh, look at that.
Yeah, go ahead.
And then go up to top and go to Reports and Analysis. This is kind of our accountability report ongoing. So the partisan
this is the best website for trying to figure out what's going on in the state of Missouri that's out there.
So
I love it.
Categorize the bills in 4 ways. Strong Democrat and lean Democrat means that as a percentage, the Democrat caucus was a higher percentage supporting that bill than the Republican caucus.
As a percentage, yeah, because there's
As a
less of them.
percentage, because there are far more. I mean, we have a super majority of Republicans, and then the same for the lean Republicans are the ones where it was actually a higher percentage of Republicans that voted for it than the Democrat caucus.
Wow!
And so you can see, you can look up your rep and senator. We actually have a better one. If you can go back right now, I think I found a better way to demonstrate this. Go back to reports and analysis.
Up top, Isaiah.
Yeah, there you go.
And then go down to Saved by the Democrats.
Yeah, right there.
Click there. And I think this is an easier way for people to understand it. These are bills that have passed one chamber or the other or both this term that would not have passed if Democrats hadn't joined with the establishment Republicans. And if you scroll down, you see there's a lot of bills already.
Yeah. You know, that's what happened when the Speaker of the House with Justin Sparks, if you remember. Justin Sparks throws his head into the ring for Speaker of the House. And then how did they squash it? The Democrats came up and one fell swoop and said, we are all getting behind John Patterson. I said,
now, I'm sure
the fact the Democrat minority leader took her name out of running to signal to the Democrats, vote for Patterson.
Yeah. Yeah,
I'm sure the counterpoint is going to be, oh, you should see that because we're bipartisan.
That's what I mean.
We have to work across the aisle.
Exactly.
Well, I always counter that with, we know what the Democrats won't support bills unless they have something that they really want in them. And that tells you all you need to know.
I think that's exactly right. Anything else that's on your agenda today? I know you want to talk about SB or Senate Bill 888. Because I saw you guys posting about that. We talked about AI and the most recent tax, income tax. I don't what is that bill? What is it called?
It's HJR 172/174.
Does it have a name? Do they call it the income tax?
Yeah,
I'm sure when the commercials start rolling out, it'll be your eliminate personal income tax. But
I want to give a shout out to people that follow our page. I do follow all the social media. I follow the conversations, and I'm so proud because so many are paying attention. And when there's certain people that'll get on there and there's names that I'm like, this guy works for Bishop. This guy does. I mean, it's so funny because they get on and act innocuous, right?
Right.
They act like they're just.
Don't you love it though?
Part of the conversation, but our citizens, are pushing back and with really good information.
I'll tell you a story. We're driving into Jeff City yesterday, 6:00 in the morning, and Amy's going through, and she said, "Oh, I think we better respond to this one." And we're looking through the post, and then she starts reading the responses that the people are responding.
The people have
and
it.
They're hitting all the points we want to hit, and we're like, "Well, I don't think we need to. Let's just let's we like the conversation on our post. We think that's good, and we're happy to jump on and push back if they push back. And the ultimate thing is get the information, let the people decide.
You guys are doing great, and I love the name ACT, because here's what I say: awareness leads to action. If you don't know and you're confused, you don't know who to believe, nothing ever happens. Act for Missouri is a perfect name, because what we're saying is we're going to give you the information.
Yep.
If you are voting for the Republican Party, if you're believing in the Republican Party, then you should begin actively asking them questions about their performance. And if they can't answer the questions about their performance, or they don't want to have conversations, or they dismiss you, then you have to make a decision based on that. But you cannot allow this continue to erode conservative values in the state of Missouri if you want to have a red state. If you don't want to have a red state, that's fine. That's fine. I mean, we all vote, I think. I hope they count the votes. That's another question.
Yeah, that's a whole other issue.
That's another one they don't seem to want to answer. So anyway, great to see you guys. I really appreciate what you're doing. I'm glad that you're able to come on the show every week now so we can keep people abreast of what's happening in the state of Missouri. You got it. Michael Compton, Amy Castro, ACT, 4mo.org. Check out their website if you want information about what's happening in Jefferson City. They cover it from scoop to nuts. Have a great day. We'll see you next Thursday.
Thanks, Rob.
All right.
You got it.
Thanks.
Amy, see you, Mike.
Bye.
All right, Isaiah. Where you at, young man?
I'm here. Don't worry. I'm coming back.
What's going on? Did we get questions? Because I see there the MMTLP people were going.
Oh, crazy. The MMTLP people are going crazy.
What do we got going on
in a good way? They're talking back and forth, and so appreciate the debate.
Anything in there that I need to answer? Because I want to make sure that we answer any questions.
I don't think so. No.
It looked like because I know there's a lot of MMTL people that are upset that we would have a conversation with the other side. What do you think of that? I don't know what to make of that because I love the people. Even some of the people that are upset, I don't understand. I don't understand not wanting to have conversations with your opponents. I just don't get it.
I don't either. I think that we've been conditioned to not want to talk to the other side and say,
how does it hurt you? That's what I mean.
That's what I don't understand. I have found that when I debate people against me that are standing on their point, and I know that I'm right, that it makes them
more
look,
support.
It makes them look, not as, it just depends on how the situation plays out, right? Maybe it can get more support for you. Maybe it can make them look less intelligent or make them look like they don't know what they're talking about, right? But the situation that I've had, I'm not trying to name people or get into specifics, but just, going to, as a elected official, going to an office and being asked to take off a vest and say, hey, can you look up the state statute for this other person who's supposed to know these laws? And they find out, oh, you were actually right. I wasn't right. You were right. And so I found in that situation where and it's not necessarily I'm against this person, but we're debating a point, when we both are on different sides. And for me, I came out getting more respect from that person because we were able to have a civil conversation and a civil dialogue where we're not, degrading each other or anything like that. I didn't feel that way from this person. And they told me that they didn't feel that way from me. And so that's just how I find conversations do better.
It's hard for me to understand not wanting to have a conversation like that. I would love it. Like, I can't get anybody to have the conversations with me. That's what goes on in the state of Missouri. I very rarely say, can we have a debate? Like, I really oppose what you're saying. I think that you're wrong. I think that you are lying about my position. You're lying about the bill. You're lying about everything. You're lying about me, everything. And I want to confront you.
Yes.
But I love doing that. Maybe that's just me, but I love to take on my opposition and say, okay, this is something that I happen to know a lot about. Let's find out where you're coming from. Let's have this discussion. I long for those days. I think it's beautiful. I just can't wait. How many times, Isaiah, since I've been with you that I've just today, I mean, we woke up this morning, Camilla right here, Camilla from Americans for Prosperity. I said, let's have a public debate. You're telling me AI data centers are great. I don't think that they are. You got to tell me why you believe it. I'll tell you why I disagree. Let's get this out into a public forum. So, because I believe that if I have a conversation with and I said, you can bring out any GOP rep that you want. They could be a House rep, could be a Senate rep, could be somebody on your committee. I don't care who it is, whoever you want, whoever you think is the Kirk Hilsinger. I think he's the one that's out trying to sell it. Didn't he come out to Franklin County and try to sell it? Yeah. I would like to have a debate with him, just a public debate, a public conversation. We can do this. What is it, Kirk or Kurt? I don't mean to be disrespectful.
I think it's Kirk.
I think it is.
Remember, yeah.
So this Kirk Hilsinger, let's have him out there. But see, I look at this as I think I have the stronger argument. I can't wait to have it. I want to have this so desperately because I want more people to support my position. And I think that's the way this should be on both sides of this argument with MMTLP. Why it wouldn't be is I think it makes you look very shady if you don't want to, if you're calling people names and you are saying that you're right on the positions, you have all the evidence, you have the court documents, you have the background, you have the history, and then you don't want to have a conversation with somebody. How would that look to you if you were out there in the world?
Exactly. That was my, I hate talking about myself. I'm just using my experience. But that was my experience running for office, right? Is that I went out there and I talked to the people and I'm in their face and I'm having conversations and not everyone liked me, right. There was, and so that's okay. And so I have conversations with people that don't necessarily like me. They don't even know anything about me, but they just don't like me because I'm going against the other person. But I could tell you from doing that work, that is what got me elected. That is 100% what people told me to my face hundreds of times. That's why I voted for you.
Absolutely. And that's the crazy thing about the situation. I just want to reiterate it. Nobody knew who you were.
Yeah.
Nobody knew who you won an election in a town where nobody even knew who you were. You went and knocked on doors, but they didn't know who you were. You don't have a background where people go, "Oh, I know Isaiah. Isaiah worked in this office, or he, worked for somebody we know." That wasn't the case. You went out and said, "Look, here's what I believe. Here's what I'm gonna try and do with the town. Try to gain support for it. Some people liked it, some people didn't. But because you won the argument by knocking on doors, you win the battle because you become the alderman, right?"
Exactly.
I don't really understand. And this is not just coming from today. This is coming from many different people. Nobody wants to have open conversation and debate anymore. They think that the other side, even getting their words out, is negative for them, right? Even that the other person would be able to have an opinion in public hurts their cause. And I'd say every opinion that they have that you can refute, you should do exactly that.
Do you know that clip from Charlie Kirk when he's sitting there wearing the ice baseball cap? And the lady says, "What are you doing here?" This is like he's sitting there in his table.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm here to have conversations because I think when we stop having conversations, people get hurt.
Yeah, it turns to violence.
Yeah, people turn to violence, and that's my 100% belief. And after Charlie Kirk's assassination, whoever did it doesn't matter. He was assassinated.
Yeah, look at somebody who says, "I debate." Let me get this guy out here, Brown. It says a debate with decorum is a duel of the minds. This is what I agree, right? Yes. So if people think that I'm going to allow this to turn into a mudslinging operation where somebody from either side is going to try to just ridicule somebody, that's not going to happen. I will just shut it down. It's just not going to happen. The idea is that you're going to win this with your facts and you're going to win it intellectually. Junk Savvy can definitely do that. I've talked to her. She knows this game. I don't know Amy. I don't know anything about Amy. I know that the people on the MMTLP side that do these spaces, that they can't stand her. They just can't stand her. They don't like her. But I still think it's if you're right on the issues, which I believe MMTLP is looking for transparency, as Junk Savvy put out onto social media just recently, and I reposted it. How can you be how can you argue against transparency? How do you win an argument when
that's my main question?
And that would be the bottom line for me with the entire situation is transparency is what we're looking for. If you believe that there was some kind of coordination between the CEOs and this and that and the other, fine. Then let that be out there in the public square. If you think that had nothing to do with the CEOs, that this was a fraud, an organized fraud, or something that turned into a fraud because of QSIP numbers and taking a privately held company and and trading it on the over-the-counter markets unjustly. If you believe that, prove it, explain it, and more people will rally to your side. What MMTLP, I think, some of the people, not all. I mean, I don't want to part any particular movement with one brush, but the thing I think I differ with them from a strategic standpoint is I think that they believe they're going to get this on Trump's desk, or they believe that they're going to get this into the right hands of the DOJ, or they think they're going to get this into the right congressperson's hands. And I would just say, has 3.5 years of your life proven that it's not going anywhere? And then I would ask the MMTLP, this is like I do with the people in Missouri, how long and how far do you think you're going to have to run before these people will pick up the torch and do something for you? Pick up the baton, I guess I should say. How long do you think that's going to be? Because I'm somebody who does this for a living. I'm not just MMTLP. I could tell you 100 stories that are similar to yours. I'm covering a story called Jeffrey Winehouse. It's a Jeffrey Winehouse case in the state of Missouri, where Jeffrey Winehouse was an independent journalist that went after very powerful people, if you've not heard the story, and they executed him in broad daylight. And then they put him in jail for 30 years. The only difference with him is he had a video of what happened.
Mm-hmm. What was he charged with, Rob?
Nothing. He was charged with shooting the cop that shot him 4 times. The cop shot him twice in the chest and twice in the forehead. He had it on video, and he sits in jail for 30 years. I bring it to people's attention, and nothing has happened yet. And you think that this government of buying for the people in Washington, D.C., you're going to get enough letters and enough to get something done? You're going to have to put so much pressure on the people that are the decision makers that they have to do something. They have to. And this is my opinion again. This is why I want to help MTLP get to the resolution they deserve. I think 65,000 people that lost their investment is unconscionable. It's just insane. It's a story that I want to cover until there's some resolution. But I think that I've been down this road so many times with so many different stories, it would make you puke. I'll have probably 2 or 3 within the next couple of weeks that'll just blow your mind of government corruption that is right out there in the open. Yours might be a little muddy. These are cut and dry.
Yeah.
These are cut and dry. Jeff Winehouse videotaped himself getting shot 4 times, and he sits in prison for shooting the cops, which he never even.
I mean, we've talked to a couple hundred people that we showed the documentary to, Rob. I haven't personally met a single person who's on the other side.
Not a person.
The documentary, and I think that's the point you're trying to make here. Is like you said, it can be gray areas sometimes with like the MMTLP community.
Well, it's complicated.
It's complicated. I don't know if gray might not be the right, but it's complicated. It's, they feel like I even see someone trying to make a good argument here is, that they have their position of why they believe that and that the share counts are irrelevant and things like that. But with such a cut and dry case where you can see on video, which they didn't know he had the video. And so they're building their case against him, but then we can see that's just not the actual case because we have the video evidence. That's a cut and dry case that you would think, all right, you saw the video. Oh my gosh, there's a judge the next day should be, doing some type of appeal or something, right? But that's not what's happening. And I think that's your point you're trying to make is if something like that is not getting moved forward, then what's
right.
You know,
and I'll answer some people on the other side because I see a lot of people that are attack me all the time on social media. They think that I've got something going on that I don't. But here's the bottom line for me, and you tell me what you think.
I meant to put the comments back.
It's all right.
There we go.
Tell me what you think of this, Isaiah, because this is what I tell to the people that are attacking me and attacking the MMTLP movement. If 65,000 people lost their investment, shouldn't that be addressed? You might say they're all stupid people. 65,000 people just don't know how to play the market. They don't understand the market. They're half retarded. They don't deserve their money, and so be it, right? But if 65,000 people, I want you to think of what 65,000 people would look like. You could go to the Michigan football game and it would be 80% full. You could go to the St. Louis Cardinals baseball stadium and you could have a stadium and a half full of people that lost their investment. They believe that there was malfeasance. They believe that they were misled. And when you have 65,000 people that believe their investment was stolen from them, then there has to be some form of resolution for them. Maybe it's just a change in the way they regulate the over-the-counter markets. You don't know what it is. Maybe FINRA has to be a little bit more responsive. Maybe they actually need to be held accountable because FINRA is just a private organization that oversees everything, right? Mm-hmm. So you have to look at these situations and say, even if you're right, why would you be against transparency? Why would you be against the change if 65,000 Americans that I assume you're an American, citizen, or most of you are American citizens, if 65,000 people got hurt, don't you want some resolution? Even if you don't like them and you think they're bad traders and they're stupid and they don't know what they're doing, they got wrapped up in a scheme, whatever you believe. Is that cool? Should there be some kind of safeguards against that? Are you okay with 65,000 people losing their investment? Is that just something that you don't recognize or don't care about the lives that were destroyed? Is that something that you can stomach? Because I don't see it that way. And I'll never see it that way. I don't think 65,000 people losing their investment means that they're just all stupid and they just don't know how to trade and they're not as smart as you. Because if that's the case, then it needs to be simplified.
Yeah. It reminds me of, and tell me if I'm wrong in understanding this. So they're saying that FINRA is kind of the gold standard, essentially, and they're the ones who have, that's the one that the, quote unquote, I don't want to say detractors because it sounds negative, but that's the sides that we have that we're looking at, right? The supporters and the detractors. And so the detractors are saying that FINRA is correct. Is that right? Am I understanding that right? They're supporting FINRA's decisions and things like that because they're an organization that, certifies brokers and things like that. Is that kind of their argument? This is the argument that I get. There's evidence of fraud by the CEOs, and that is from FINRA, essentially, that they are.
Well, FINRA is the regulatory body, so FINRA. That's what I'm wondering. And that's my whole point of this whole thing. Even if you're right, there has to be more regulation. They shouldn't even have the ability to get over on people at that level. 65,000 investors. Yeah. Even if that turns out to be true, I don't believe that it is. But if it turns out to be true, why would you not want to get to the bottom of that? And how long do you think it should take? They keep saying it's in court. Well, it's 3.5 years later. Mm-hmm. Is that a speedy trial? Is that speedy justice? 3.5 years? If you tell me that it just takes a long time.
From the SEC, okay.
It's just slow, and it's a slow process. Well, it's not supposed to be a slow process. If you lost your entire investment and $65,000, and you want to find out how that all transpired, and maybe you're not savvy in the marketplace, 3.5 years later is plenty long enough to put this out into the public eye and get to the bottom of it. They have AI systems that can tell you everything that happened by the minute already, and you think that's not happening in the markets?
Very interesting.
I don't know. I don't see it that way.
I haven't watched any. I've held back watching any content online about it. I've only just gone into the Twitter Spaces to hear the different arguments because I want to just see the debate firsthand, kind of the arguments. I haven't watched any content to anyone. I don't know the arguments, so I'm very interested to see. People are telling me that I'm a shill for Amy in the chat. It's like, hey, I'm not a shill for, I don't even know Amy. I just know that I want public discourse, and I see.
But this is what this is why, this is the kind of thing, when that starts to happen, this is why the MMTL people and these people can't get along, is because they're always putting motive onto something when all you're looking for is the conversation. I'm giving you my point of view. I think Isaiah has given his point of view. That's what we're talking about, is pure transparency. Make changes to the system. If these people lost their money because they don't know how to trade, then that should be, the system has to be a little bit more fair for those people. You can't just say 65,000 people are too stupid to understand how to trade, and because they lost their investment because they're not wise enough to understand what's going on, that's okay, right? I mean, 65,000 people is enough to make somebody needs to be held accountable.
Yeah,
would you agree? I mean, at the very least.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, something needs to. That's what I am I guess maybe there will be a good explanation from the other side, for me to help understand, but I'm just not understanding why we don't want transparency and why we don't want to have everything out in the open. And I think that's just from what I understand, and we'll see, and maybe I'll have a better understanding. I'm purposefully, again, not trying to find information out there so that I can hear the arguments without any input. I've just listened to those Twitter spaces, like I said, but yeah, I'm interested to see kind of their argument on why, and like you're saying, it's that the CEOs are, they're the fraudulent ones.
So here's Zing. This is somebody says it's not a gotcha. The target harassment is documented 24/7. Well, fine, then bring that up. That's the whole point, right? This is what I don't understand about the argument on the other side. It says it's not a gotcha. The target harassment is 24/7. Listening and making derogatory remarks just validate that even more. Why? How does that validate it? Do you understand this argument, Isaiah? Explain it to me, because
I think they might be saying that that might be validating the their side more when the other side is throwing FUD.
Your job in a debate is to invalidate what they're saying. That's the whole point.
Yeah.
That's what a debate is about.
That's what Roger Stone says, right? Stone's rules. Remember, we were talking about that with Roger Stone. He says attack, 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 never defend.
Yeah,
and that's the rules that President Trump adopted to.
And maybe that's why we have such a divide in our country. Maybe that's why this division happens so much, is people don't want to talk to each other. They want to hate each other. They prefer to hate each other and call each other names than get to a resolution. The fight is more delicious than the solution.
Yeah, and it seems like there are people from both sides that attack you for wanting to have the other side on. But it seems like there's good people that do want. I also see people in here though that are from both sides that are saying that they're excited about the transparency and that they're excited about the conversation happening. So,
well, I know, but a lot of these people that I'm hearing get a little aggravated are the principals. These are ones that are leading both sides of these groups.
Yeah,
right. So that concerns me just a little bit.
Me too. Because what's the if they're the leaders, what does that mean for the other people that are
following? If they're the ones that are organizing, then you certainly want to make it to where. I don't know. You'd want to make it to where.
And again, we don't know. We're just observers here on the outside, right?
I got to talk to Ann Vandersteel, see what she thinks of this, because I was reading through there. I was just kind of peeking over at the chat. There's like a ton of people. Like this is here's one right here. So Busy is somebody that I talk to all the time, and I happen to like.
Cheryl does have questions for the producer. Decides to post any distractions on the screen.
You see what I mean?
Yeah, we got to have both. We got to have both sides busy.
They don't want
because you don't like the other side doesn't mean you should silence them. That is what the Nazi ideology is to silence the other side.
See, and this is where I think Junk is right. I happen to like Julianne a lot. I've spent hours on the phone with her trying to get me up to speed. And that's the bottom line to the argument that her and I both agree on. Now, she'll get into all the technical issues and what she believes, but there is really no debating the requirement for transparency and audited global share count. And that to me, and if the other side says that's not true, then why are so many Congress people? Why are so many people? Why is the Secretary of State of Missouri? Why is the Attorney General of the state of Missouri? Why do they disagree with your statement? Because that only adds fuel to the fire,
interested
right?
because some of them are saying that they don't care about the share count. I'm not a financial expert.
Me neither.
Right? So we got Rick Bavitz, but
maybe Rick will come on tomorrow. He's back in town. I got to call him as soon as we get down.
Yeah, I am curious. I was thinking the other day. I'm very curious what Rick would say about this in his opinion, because I'm sure he's kind of followed it or has a pulse on it, at least just being in the finance community. But it'll be an interesting debate because there's so many things that I just don't know enough about to hear the argument from both sides on those issues.
Don't you want to know? That's kind of where I'm at. For me, from a selfish point of view, I want to understand what's going on. I really want to see what the other people are saying. I'd like to see it challenged, like some of these people that hate on me on the other side of MMTLP. They come up with all kinds of reasons as to what I'm doing. It's a money maker for me. I'm a paid shill. I'm unfair. I'm biased, and I'm biased toward the truth. I mean, I want to figure out what the truth is. But it's really not much more complicated than that. It's really not. That's what man Jeffrey got to say.
It's all organized crime. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right. Let's end it there. Can we play the roll? I want to play the roll today and get people's opinion on it while we got it. Can we play that? So Jeffrey, who's on the screen right now, he did some editing for me. So this is, again, it seemed like people liked the song. I didn't hear any negative about the song.
No, everyone said they liked the song.
Everybody liked the song, which is fantastic. So Teresa, you might have a winner there with that song. She just wrote it apparently, and she said you can use it. And then what we did here, so we have about 10 minutes that we do a countdown clock before we start the show. And again, the show officially starts May the 4th. May the 4th be with you. Then it officially starts, and it's a little bit of a bummer because I don't have a set built in Missouri just yet, so it'll be a temporary set. But as far as the way we do advertisement, hopefully we'll have the pre-roll done. We'll have the cameras the way we want, because right now we're using a camera. The new cameras are much better than the ones that we have now, and we'll have two camera shots instead of one. I mean, we'll run a real production system, not to where it's overproduced, but so you can really get a sense of what's going on when we have conversations and that kind of thing. So I went to Jeffrey and I said, listen, I want to put a chronological timeline of Donald Trump coming down the escalator from day one when he announced he was running for president all the way up until the shooting at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. And I want to show people the theater. I want people to just kind of absorb 9.5 minutes of a presentation that we're going to put out there, so that maybe the people at MMTLP that are upset with me, you're going to see that it's theater. You're going to get your chain yanked all the way forever. That's my opinion. I just think you're going to get your chain yanked from now until forever. And the only way you're going to get resolution to your problem, in my opinion, that's why I'm trying to help you, is through pressure. And the only way you're going to get pressure on the establishment to do anything for you is not a congressman that's up there, not a half a dozen people that go up there, not press conferences up there, but that the masses begin to understand the situation. The masses, it has to be something where MMTLP t-shirts, people are wearing them all around the country, and they go MMTLP. You'll have to have a movement if you want your money back, in my opinion, and if you want the money that you deserve, in your opinion, because I'm not sure what that means with the stock prices, right? If you want that, I think it's counterproductive to think you're going to get it through a political lens. That's my opinion. Right? I know my friend,
unless the politician is going to be enriched in some way.
If you can enrich the politicians, maybe. Other than that, they're. Have you not paid attention to how these politicians are making money in the stock market? Have you not paid attention to that? Do you really think that the people that are running the Financial Services Committee in Washington, D.C. want to help you? I mean, is that something that you see happening? Do you think you're going to get it to whoever? It doesn't even matter. All the way up to Trump. I mean, it doesn't matter who it is. Do you really believe these people are going to give you repercussions with what you've seen after the last 3.5 years? Do you think that that's going to happen? I don't think that's going to happen. I think
one of our subscribers on Rumble just said even Winehouse jury was compromised. It certainly wasn't his peers.
Exactly. It's just that it's the system that we're in right now. Where's the guy that says law? Can we get that one up? Can we play that and then play the roll? You have that from yesterday?
Let's see. Let me pull it up. My gosh, I love that video. I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, let me pull that up.
So yesterday we played a video, and I want for the people that are still involved from MMTLP that are upset with me, I ask that you not be, because I am trying to get transparency, and I think that's what you all want, and you want some opportunity to get your money back. I think the political and legal lens, I just have been through it too many times. I mean, they're running illegal elections in this country right now. Is there anything more important to that? Do you think that your situation is more important than illegal elections? We have illegal elections by the Constitution being run in this country, and nobody on either side of the aisle is doing anything about it. None of them. Demonstrably illegal. The Constitution says you have one day to vote. The first Tuesday in November. And we have months of voting.
Yep.
In Missouri, if you have paper ballots as your official ballot, they have to be counted by hand. They count them by tabulators in the state of Missouri. You point them out to it, and they go like this to you. Right there. That's what they do to you.
Yep.
And I'm just telling you that I do this for a living. I mean, what do you think? You think I went this far down the road with you because I was looking to hurt you? I went down this road because I understand that, and I've been trying to prove it with you, with Ann Wagner and with the Secretary of State, with the Attorney General, with all the people I know in the White House. I mean, there's a guy that worked on our radio station that stands right next to Donald Trump, who I've tried to bring the conversation to him. He stands right next to Donald Trump, like this. They're standing and they're hugging each other. They're right on top of each other. He knows about your story because I told him. And he's in the room with them. He stands right next to him when Donald Trump signs those executive orders. The guy that stands right next to him, his name is Will Sharp. He knows about your story because I told him. Has there been resolution? That was 8 months ago. No, you're not going to get resolution that way, in my opinion. And it's frustrating because, you want to help, and you're like, you
got to be a part of the theater. How can it help?
They have to make you think the resolution or is right around the corner. It's right around the corner. It's coming tomorrow. It's on Trump. That's right around the corner. It's any day now. It's coming. It's right around the corner.
Yeah,
it's not right around the corner. So listen to this guy talk about the law. Tell me if
we got a question from a subscriber really quick. I know you wanted to answer questions. So they said, is there a plan to get rural Missouri more involved? We seem to be forgotten.
Not at all. Not at all. We'll get out to the rural areas.
Yes.
Got to raise money. That's the whole point.
Yeah.
You got to have money to get organization. Because if I go out to rural Missouri, let's say, pick a town in Missouri, and we want to get out to a rural town in Missouri, we have to advertise that we're coming there.
Mm-hmm.
We have to spend money. We have to get people there, right? I have to get there. Isaiah's got to get there. We got to have a forum. We have to run a forum out.
A few $1,000s on equipment just so we could do our live show at Moe's.
Right. Exactly. A perfect example, right? We spent $3,000, $3,200, $3,200, and we're buying lunch and ice cream for everybody. We'll end up spending $4,000 just to come to Moe's Pizza to bring awareness to Jeffrey Winehouse. Our organization will spend $4,000. Is that fair? I mean, that's what we'll spend to get the information out there. And we want to get the information out into the rural areas. We want to get it everywhere. We want to explain to people that the system that they grew up thinking was real is not real. Give them the law real fast. Check this out, everybody.
Single American that keeps saying, by law, they were required. By law, by law, by law. They were supposed to do this by law. They broke the law. The law doesn't fucking exist. The law doesn't fucking exist in America, everybody. Every single member of the government is a criminal! And we keep expecting the criminals to hold the other criminals accountable. When every system of checks and balances we had fails because nobody's being held accountable. Law doesn't exist. Stop screaming about what is legally required. Nobody fucking cares. The only way this stops is if the people listen to the Constitution and overthrow tyranny. Revolution!
God, I love that. I think we should start the show with that every day.
I know, it's fantastic.
I think it just wakes people up to what's really going on. I mean, listen, they have an unconstitutional war right now. Just look up the Constitution. Should we do that real fast? Can I just get that out there? I want to prove to people that the system that they think is going to protect them, it's like asking the mafia to give your money back. Hey, you broke the windows in my convenience store. You mobsters, I want you to give me you fix those windows. You think the mobsters are going to fix the windows? They're the one that broke them in the first place. They're not coming to fix your windows. Okay. That's just the reality of it. And I don't know why more people like me don't explain this, but it's just the reality of the situation. There is a man in Missouri who there's a man in Missouri prison for 13 years who taped an execution, his own execution. They just didn't kill him. Prayed before he went there, got shot twice in the forehead with a .40 caliber gun right in the forehead and 2 in the chest. He videotaped it. The cops lied about it on video, and he sits in prison, and the cops are having a barbecue. And you think they're coming to your defense? It's just not going to happen. I apologize.
We had someone from the MMTLP community. I'm guessing they're just trying to, it's a gotcha kind of question, but they're like, there's no transparency, Isaiah, until you ask Rob how long he's known Junk Savvy for. So tell the people how long you've known Junk Savvy for, if that matters, I guess.
Maybe a year.
There we go. Transparency.
Maybe a year. I mean, Junk might know more than me. I'm not really sure.
Yeah,
I'm not a year, no longer than that.
I don't know what kind of gotcha question that was, but I had to throw it out there because
I got like friends with. I've never met. I've never. Her name's Julianne. I've never met her.
Yeah,
I've never met her. So that's the answer to your question. Can we? I got to play the role. It's getting late.
I know. Let's just do the pre-roll, and for a couple, as long as you want, and just yell at me, and I can turn it off.
I wasn't even trying to yell. It's I get frustrated.
No, I didn't mean that's.
These are good. These are good people that I think are just. It's so frustrating that they think they're going to go to court and figure this thing out, and they're going to get the attorneys involved, and they're going to spend $500,000, $1 million, $2 million fighting it in the courts when the decision has been made. The only thing you can do is pressure these people. You don't live in a republic anymore. Thomas Massey, for the love of God, when the CARES Act was passed, he said you have to come in and vote on the CARES Act. You have to go to Washington, D.C. You have to go into the Capitol and you have to vote on the CARES Act because he said we're losing our republic. If we're going to lose our republic, everybody should have to come in and vote. What did he mean by losing the republic? He meant that the CARES Act, $2.2 trillion was fleeced from your pocket into Wall Street, and they bought off the states with that money. In the state of Missouri, and you can look at your state, in the state of Missouri, half of the budget from Missouri comes from the feds. So if the feds want the governor of Missouri to tap dance on his head, then he'll tap dance on his head. You don't have any sovereignty in your states anymore. They bought it out. They stole your republic with the CARES Act, and nobody seems to care.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody seems to care that the 10th
Can't
Amendment
bite
was
the hand that feeds you, right?
Where is it? Let me get that out real fast.
You are a snake. You are a rat. You are a fraud. You are a backstabber. You are a handbiter.
Boom. All right. There is no justice anymore. That's why when she was on, when Ann Vandersteel was on, I said, do you think this can be resolved through the courts? She goes, well, I mean, if you get the right judge, I mean, I don't think you're going to get the
thinking
right
Christina's asking for the video that we played. I'm guessing that one from Facebook. So maybe you can we can have you put it out on
is that
X.
the screaming one where he's talking about the law?
I think so. Yeah, maybe we can have you put it out on X for everyone.
Yeah, I'll put it out on X. It's so fantastic. I love it. I think I'm going to start the show with it. So we'll do this. We'll do the law, and then we'll go into this B-roll. And here's what I need for the people that are daily listeners of the show, all the way back from the radio days, the podcast before the radio, and now what we're doing here. You are on something that's going to grow. I can just promise you that. We are doing things so much differently than everybody else. And generally speaking, when you create something new, people try to copy it and do this and that and the other. We are actually an advocacy group that does radio, that does podcasting, that does television, that does everything, that does public speaking. We do it all, but we're here to actually get something done. We're not here to hear our voices for the next 10 years. I'm probably not on the radio anymore because I recognize that I could not say what I wanted to say to get to the finish line. And now we have the opportunity. We have a lot of people. We have a lot of advertisers that are investing in us. We have a lot of money that is going to be invested in this situation. Already beginning to say, Rob, I see what you're doing. I didn't really know where you were going. I didn't like what was going on the radio, but I now see what you're trying to get accomplished. It's going to get bigger and bigger. I just ask that you stick along with the process. And what I need you to do for those people that have been paying attention from day one, they started with the podcast back in 2021. They moved over to News Talk Radio in St. Louis when I was there. Then they moved over to Real Talk Radio when I was there. And now they're searching for me right now. There's all kinds of people in Missouri that went, what happened to Rob? Where is he at? They have no idea where to find me yet, but they will. They're going to find me. They're going to figure it out at some point, and you're going to see the audience begin to grow and the conversation begin to grow. Those people that have been with me from the very beginning, just tell me if you like this pre-roll. And what this pre-roll is before the show starts, as you're waiting to come in, we'll start showing.
Draft, by the way.
Yeah, it's a rough draft. It's as rough as it gets. It's just a bunch of things tied together. But it is a chronological video presentation of Donald Trump coming down, the first statement that he made where he's running for president, and all the theater that was in between until we had the shooting at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. If you don't mind, I got to take a break for just a second. I got to calm down. I'm getting irritated. All right. So here it is. Here's the pre-roll. Tell me if you like it. Carter, welcome to the future. #1 podcast in America.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am officially running for President of the United States, and we are going to make our country great again.
To just be grossly generalistic, you could put half of Trump supporters into what I call the basket of deplorables. Right? The racist, sexist, homophobic, xenophobic, Islamophobic, you name it.
We are going to Washington, D.C., and we are going to drain the swamp. We're going to build the wall. We have no choice. We have no choice. Build that wall. 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 When we win on November 8th, and elect a Republican Congress, we will be able to immediately repeal and replace Obamacare. Have to do it.
It's just awfully good that someone with the temperament of Donald Trump is not in charge of the law in our country.
Because you'd be in jail.
Secretary Clinton.
Sorry to keep you waiting. Complicated business. Complicated. Thank you very much. I've just received a call from Secretary Clinton. She congratulated us. It's about us. Today's ceremony, however, has very special meaning because today we are not merely transferring power from one administration to another or from one party to another, but we are transferring power from Washington, D.C., and giving it back to you, the people.
You know, I'll tell you, there is something that I wanted to say, because I was very honored, very, very honored, when I heard that President Bill Clinton and Secretary Hillary Clinton was coming today, and I think it's appropriate to say, and I'd like you to stand up. I'd like you to stand up. And honestly, there's nothing more I can say because I have a lot of respect for those two people. So,
My fellow Americans, tonight I want to speak with you about our nation's unprecedented response to the coronavirus outbreak that started in China and is now spreading throughout the world. Today, the World Health Organization officially announced that this is a global pandemic.
I recommend take the vaccines. I did it. It's good. Take the vaccine. Now they are looking at these different options of mask wearing. In the meantime, as I often get asked, should you be wearing 2 masks or 1 mask?
Love it. The video. Did you say free fries when you get vaccinated? I got vaccinated. You're saying I could get this, these delicious fries? Wait a minute. But there's also a burger element to this. I want you to look at this and think about, again,
How about this
people
guy?
love hamburgers, some don't. Really want to respect
Bill de
all
Blasio.
ways
I'm
of
so
life.
glad you put this
if
video
this
in.
is appealing to you, just think of this when you think of vaccination.
So honk if you want America to lead again. Honk if you want America to trust each other again.
Yeah.
Honk if you want America to be united again. Folks, we cannot afford 4 more years of Donald Trump.
When you say there's no evidence, Sydney was giving you information that come from affidavits from other people, with a very big spike in the vote count at exactly that time.
It's a great note from Jay Brown for Jeff.
Oh, that-
Just,
yeah.
Get the audio levels all leveled out.
Chief Justice Roberts, Vice President Harris,
Look at that.
Speaker Pelosi, Leader Schumer, Leader McConnell,
Yeah.
Vice President Pence, and my distinguished guests, my fellow Americans. This is America's day.
They don't look like they're 6 feet away from
Please
him.
have a seat. Please have a seat.
No.
I love school buses.
Look at her.
And to my Divine Nine family.
Just one more economic one. Are you concerned about the strength of the dollar right now?
These people are going to solve your problem.
I'm not concerned about the strength of the dollar.
Oopsie daisy. Like how he wipes himself off here. The salute is priceless too. Right here. There you go. With the mask on. Boom.
You got more questions, but I tell you, if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black.
Donald Trump is back in court for the third day of his civil fraud trial, but this time he is under a gag order. The judge in this case ordering Trump not to speak publicly about his staff and threatening him with fines if he does.
We're getting a look at former President Trump's mugshot, and this is a first, not only for him personally, but for any former president in American history.
And I'm going to continue to move until we get the total ban on the total initiative relative to what we're going to do with more Border Patrol and more asylum officers.
President Trump?
I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either. Look.
I think that statement got me to vote for
because
Trump.
I'm about to tell you the truth.
This is great.
And F you if you can't handle the truth. This version of Biden, intellectually, analytically, is the best Biden ever.
And you know, that's a little bit old, that chart. That chart's a couple of months old. And if you want to really see something that's said, take a look at what happened.
But what happened last week when they took a shot at my hero? And they tried to kill.
You want to make sure people know it's real. You definitely put a WWE fighter out there.
Enough was enough. And I said, let Trumpomania run wild, brother. Let Trumpomania rule again. Let Trumpomania make America great again.
Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear.
I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute the office of President of the United States.
The office of President of the United States.
That's not it.
That was the end of it, it looks like.
Oh, I didn't get to see it.
Yeah.
We took all the way up to the shooting.
Yeah. So I guess that's just the one he had sent us so far. But I mean, so good so far. He already texted me. He's going to fix the audio. So that's awesome.
Well, there's some more video in there. Because then we take it from him taking over in 2024 until the shooting at the White House Correspondents' Center.
Yeah.
Did it end there, or did we just not get it all?
Oh no, that's the file. Is what it ended there, unfortunately. So I guess he just sent us a shorter version.
Okay, all right. I got to talk to him. All right, let's get the advertisers. Let's get a little run for the advertisers. Who would you like to start with?
We can start with, why don't we do Rick Babbitt, since we were talking about finances, right?
He's back. Nobody's talking to him today. As a matter of fact, I think I'm calling him as soon as I get done. I'm going to eat lunch, Rick, before Rick's probably listening now, so I got to eat when I get done. Carrington Financial, your caringadvisor.com. Rick been at it with me for a long, long time. Biblical principles with your money, financial planning expert, and I can only tell you that he's done a terrific job for me. That's all I can tell you, right? The testimonial is that we turned our money over to him. He's made 2 big moves for us, and it has grown our money. I can't even tell you the amount. It's significant, and he did it. We made one mistake. I told him about it. He said, well, why didn't you talk to me before you did that? And then he took over the money. And as I said, I think my wife is looking to leave me for Rick Babbitt's, but he's married, honey. No opportunity whatsoever. Rick Babbitt's, my man. Carrington Financial, your caringadvisor.com. You can reach him at 314-671-0525, or you can look him up at yourcaringadvisor.com. Rick Babbitt understands the history. He understands the politics. He understands the currencies. And he understands retirement. He is the right guy. You get a second, get a third, get a fourth, get a fifth opinion. Doesn't matter to me, but get the opinion of Rick Babbitt, especially if you're nearing retirement and you have money to grow or protect. Rick Babbitt, 314-671, right on the screen, 314-671-0525, or you can reach him at yourcaringadvisor.com.
This is why I'm interested to hear him talk. Did you see this?
Well, he's going to be on the show a lot.
He's got this FINRA disclosure for his broker check down here. So I'm just curious what he thinks about FINRA, because he's kind of advertising it as a legitimacy thing on his website.
Oh yeah, gotcha.
So very interested. GraceHauling.com.
Where is GraceHauling.com and Gary Schneider? There he is. GraceHauling.com, GraceHauling.com. Outstanding customer service, old school business. They pride themselves on outstanding customer service, competitive pricing. If you're in the commercial side of the business, 2, 4, 6, and 8-yard dumpsters. They've been around since 1998. He's got just a thriving business. And when I said, Gary, what do you want me to say about your business? He said, but for the grace of God, I would not have this wonderful, I think he said, would not have this, but for the grace of God, I would not have such a thriving business, I think is the way he put it. Been around, like I said, since 1998. If you're a residential customer, all things rubbish, all things trash, recyclables, yard waste, bulk pickups, you name it, you'll see Grace hauling trucks all over St. Charles County. GraceHauling.com, GraceHauling.com, GraceHauling.com. They're the dumpsters, they're the trash cans, they're the trucks. He's got it all going. My man, Gary Schneider. Rocket? He's in here. I think I saw him in here. Mitch? There it is.
Yeah, he was the first one to comment today. First comment on the show.
My man. RocketCareers.com. Now, this is a national business, so from coast to coast. This isn't just local. This is national. So if you have, if you are a medium to small size business, that's where they specialize. They like to do the HR work for small to medium sized businesses, because you know how it is. If you own a small business and you got maybe 50 employees or less, and it's very difficult to find good talent anymore. Young people have a different way of making money. They like this passive income. They don't like to get out and work. This is just, I'm not making light of it. This is the way it is. And sometimes it's very difficult to get talent into your organization. They have a network from coast to coast. They're great people. They've been at it for a long time. If you are a small to medium-sized business and want to find real talent, they vet the candidates for you. They'll put you in a position to interview and get with really good people to help grow your business. And then secondly, if you are somebody who's out of work or hates your job, and you know who you are right now, there's somebody somewhere right now with headphones on that just can't take another day of their job. They can't stand it for another minute. They're trying to get through the day. Give RocketCareers.com an opportunity. Reach out to them. They'll give you the tools that you need to help you launch a new career. Been friends of mine for a long time. Great people. You'll do business with them and you'll find a friend. RocketCareers.com, ROCKIT Careers.com, 636-778-2419. And again, that is coast to coast. That is a national business.
Valvoline Express Care.
Tony, I got to get a hold of Tony Clark. Tony Clark, Valvoline Express Care. Valvoline-Express Care, if you want to check out their locations. 15 minutes from Bay to on your way. What I like about Tony is he's been in this business for a long time. You know how it is when you're working and you're working for a boss, Isaiah, and you're like, if I just was in charge, I would do it this way. That's kind of what he told me. He said, when I started running my own operation, I thought, you know what people really complain about most when they come in to get their oil change is, number one, it either takes too long, or number two, the problem that he says a lot of people have is they get upcharged, they get upsold. People keep coming, but you need this, you need this, you need this, and they get irritated with it. He says, we'll tell you if you need a new air filter, but we're not trying to pressure. We'll show it to you. Yes, no, maybe. See you later. He goes, no sales pressure, no appointments, all Valvoline branded products, 15 minutes from Bay to on your way. Quick, efficient oil changes. Valvoline-Express Care, if you want to look up the locations, let me read them to you very quickly. Warrenton, Missouri, Cape Girardeau, Missouri, St. Peters Parkway, Mid Rivers Mall Drive, Troy, Illinois, and Lemay Ferry Road. My man, Tony Clark. Valvoline-Express Care for all of the information. Warrenton, Cape Girardeau, St. Peters Parkway, Mid Rivers Mall Drive, Troy, Illinois, and Lemay Ferry Road. If I don't see that sticker on your car, then we can't be friends.
Our new friends, ECS Roofing.
ECS Roofing. Let me just read it if you're listening and not watching. ECS Roofing is new to the, and I'm very excited to have them on. There's all of the things that he does. He's kind of a general contractor that gets into roofing, decks, siding, gutters, garage doors, custom exterior metal, new construction, storm damage. One thing I like about his operation, he's a licensed insurance adjuster. So in Florida, and he claims in Missouri, it did not happen to me in Missouri. I'd never had anybody knock on my door in Missouri that I can remember, but in Florida, it's constant. You have a hailstorm, you have any kind of storm where they think your shingles might be blowing off, or you got a dent in your roof because of hail. People start knocking on your doors, and they'll tell you that they can do things that the insurance may not cover, but they just figure they're going to tell you that, they're going to help work you out, you're going to get the information from him, and you go. He knows right away. He's an insurance adjuster, so he knows whether these insurance companies are going to take care of you or not. So he says, I can do both. I can do the I can tell you whether your roof has damage that can be brought to the insurance for coverage, and I'll know right on the spot. And if you have any kind of general contracting needs, he'll take care of you. He says, I've been in the business for 30 years, Rob. If there's anything that I don't do, I know the best ones in class. So if you have any kind of general contracting going on, he goes, I will tell you who the best in class is. If my company doesn't do it, I know who the good ones are. Just reach out to me at 314-486-3567. If you have hail damage on your roof, if you need new doors, windows, what have you, lean on ECS Roofing and Exteriors. Been in business for over 30 years. Perfectionist. He likes to get things done right. 314-486-3567. And he sent me this email. I'm just going to read it until I get this all organized. He said, Rob, just a thought. One other area in my business other than storms is retail and new construction. I love the retail and new construction side of the business. We run on low overhead so we can pass the savings to our clients. Our prices can't be beat. Even with that, we offer a Class 3 shingle, ridge vent, and a complete installation guarantee. 5-year workmanship warranty on top of the manufacturer's warranty. ECS Roofing, 314-486-3567. If you want to look at them, they do their business on social media, so you got to go to Facebook, look up ECS Roofing and Exteriors, ECS Roofing on Facebook, and you can see their work, their trucks, their everything, ECS Roofing.
Did you want to do People's Lobby, Mo? We kind of did a little bit earlier, but
We'll finish with it.
Great. We got Mo's Pizza.
Okay, now again, another plug for Mo's.
Hey, Mo.
That looks like it's going to end up being a really interesting event because we're going to talk about Jeff Winehouse there on Cinco de Mayo. Everybody's thinking tacos. We'll be thinking pizza. Cinco de Mayo. I'll do my show live from Mo's Pizza, 9 to noon. I don't like that. I told her, I said, make me look like a superhero next time. I'm not happy with this. Kind of looks like I'm getting frumpy there. That's not a real depiction. Maybe it is. But it should be. So anyway, on May the 5th at Mo's Pizza, a landmark, by the way, in Washington, Missouri. If you haven't been there, you got to come check it out. Family environment, pizza and salad bar. That's what we're going to offer. So on May the 5th, People's Lobby, Missouri, we'll buy 50 lunches, pizza and salad bar plus soda, and Jones Water, who we're going to get to here in just a second. He's agreed to pay for all of the ice cream. So if you have time and you're in the area, the doors will open up at 8:45 at Mo's Pizza on Cinco de Mayo, May 5th, just in next week. And you'll have a free lunch on People's Lobby, Missouri. You'll have free ice cream on joneswater.com. Join us May the 5th, Mo's Pizza. If you have any kind of gathering, and you're in the Franklin County area, banquet space available for birthday parties, anniversaries, political meetings, Bible studies, and the like. Great people. Mike Johns and his beautiful wife, Brenda. They'll take care of you like family. Again, old school type businesses. They value every customer that walks through their door, and they're going to treat you like family when you get there. Pizza and salad bar with People's Lobby, Missouri. Free pizza and salad bar for the first 50 people that get there. 8:45 is when the doors open, and we'll run the show obviously until noon, and food will be served at 11. Mo's Restaurant, the landmark in Washington, Missouri, at the corner of Grand and 5th Street. As he likes to say, God owns the place. I just work here. And then finally, my man, Everett Jones. Joneswater.com, 636-899-1040. As he likes to tell me, Rob, if you don't have clean air and clean water in your house, then you're obviously going to have ailments. He said it messes up your skin. You're obviously going to have all kinds of things going on inside your body if you're not drinking clean water. The first step to a happy, healthy home is drinking clean water and breathing fresh air. As he likes to say, you'll be the filter or you'll buy the filter, joneswater.com. If you want to do business with Everett on the Missouri side, St. Charles County, Lincoln, Franklin, Warren, St. Louis, and Jefferson. If you go to the east side, Madison, Monroe, Jersey, and St. Clair. Joneswater.com, joneswater.com, 636-899-1040, 636-899-1040, or you can check out their website at joneswater.com. And up on the screen is a Healthway Deluxe Air Purification System. He likes to push these. It's in Helen Gelhot, who's a new advertiser with us. We'll talking about Helen's business here in just a bit. She has alternative cures for dementia, treatments, I guess I should say. Cure would get me in trouble. Alternative treatments for cancer, alternative treatments for dementia. Great lady, incredibly bright. I'm very excited to have Helen as a part of the operation. Her and her husband, Paul, have been great to me. They have this air purification system in their offices. Healthway Deluxe Air Purification System. If you want clean air, check out joneswater.com, 636-899-1040. If you want fresh water in your home or business, think joneswater.com, 636-899-1040. Finally, you'll be the filter or you'll buy the filter, joneswater.com. And now, there you have it. What an interesting day. Where you at, Isaiah?
Right here. People's Lobby Mo's last one.
Oh, you're waiting on me. peopleslobbymo.com. Again, I'll say this. We can't do it without you. I know everybody says it, all these podcasters, but it's real. We're an advocacy group. We're not looking for your money to pad our pockets. We're looking for money to go to People's Lobby Missouri so that we can expand our message, so we can organize in the small towns in the state of Missouri, so we can bring pressure on the establishment to listen to us and have this conversation with us, because we believe that it is pressure that makes the system respond to you. With no pressure, nothing ever happens. That's why if you check out what goes on in the Missouri Capitol, most of the time when you have big things that are going on, you might see 50 people. Until that changes, until thousands of people show up and they know that they're under a microscope, not to be revolutionary, but to say, listen, you're going to listen to us. You're going to see that we have numbers. We're going to pay attention to what you're doing. And when you mislead us, when you make decisions because of corporate money or donor money, we're going to recognize it, and the movement will grow and grow and grow. We want to bring that to you. We hope that you'll maybe give us a little donation. We don't look for big donations. If you give it to us, great. But $5 a month is basically what we say we're looking for. And we want thousands of people to donate $5 a month, and we'll make everything happen. We're going to go to Washington, D.C. We're going to go to Jefferson City. We're going to ask the right questions at the right time to the right people, and you'll begin to understand how our government works and, more importantly, how it does not work. Donate today at peopleslobbymo.com. peopleslobbymo.com. And that's all I got for you. Isaiah?
It's a great day.
Another 3.5 hours. I had a big audience today. I want to thank the MMTLP people, even the ones who are upset with me, because I think I'm helping you. And even if you don't agree with me, that's what I believe is the best thing for you guys to do, is to spread your message far and wide. You're going to need pressure. The legal system doesn't work the way you think. It just doesn't. But I'm rooting for you. If it does, great. I'll help you in that way as well. Hopefully we have this debate. I'm starting to question it, but we're supposed to have a debate Monday at 10 a.m. between the detractors and the pro MMTLP situation. We'll see you tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. on the Robb Carter Show. Have a great day, everybody. See you in a second, Isaiah.
See you later.